Hello, everybody, and welcome to GameList, a show about our game of the year 1 month at a time. And congratulations if you're listening to this because you're in at the ground floor. Season 3 starts now. We're in 2024. I'm Jake. This is Kaulin. Kaulin, what's going on?
I can't believe we made it this long. Like,
really? Do you think we're gonna give up?
Well, no.
Do you think it wasn't gonna last?
I don't know. I thought maybe I'd die in a car wreck or something by this point. But,
oh, boy can dream.
You know, it's like I feel, how many like shows? What's the percentage of TV shows that actually make it to season 3 before being canceled? You know,
I think it would be more staggering. Would be like an independent podcast. I feel like people in the content creation space are fragile, fickle creators that fall off of shit very, very easily.
That's me.
But I've had faith in this thing. not with me tugging you along. We're making this thing happen till the bitter end. If you're alive, you're GameList, baby. We're fine. Doing it.
It's fine with me.
But hey, man, congratulations on season 3.
Yeah, it's honestly it's insane. I'm really happy with it. We've done a lot.
Me too.
I was looking back the other day. Me and my girlfriend. I made her rate our podcast on Spotify because you know we have 8 ratings on Spotify. Let's go.
Just like you can do, listener at home.
Yeah, go rate us. Give us 5 stars, please. But I made her rate us because I was looking at it. I was like, did you rate us? She's like, no. So then we went and rated us on her like profile, and I was scrolling through our episodes, and we just have like, I don't know how many hours of content we have cumulatively. I would love to add that up and figure it out to see how much we've actually done together.
Things that I've forgotten about that we have done that are really, really good, dude. Spoil list on the Outer Wilds. Timeless evergreen content that only 27 people in the world saw. But these days, that was up in them hundreds, baby.
Yeah, that was after we played through it together, too, the DLC.
Yeah, on stream.
Yeah, that was great. That was
Echoes
really
of
fun.
the Eye. It was really good. We're off the rails. Let's assume that someone's getting in on the ground floor and they've never listened to this podcast before. What is this podcast, Kaulin?
This is our Game of the Year list, 1 month at a time. We go through, we talk about what we've been playing this month, where it ends up on our Game of the Year list, and, you know, news, upcoming stuff, just all of the above, really. Whatever we feel like talking about.
Yeah. It's a monthly podcast. It's typically separated into 4 sections. It's what have we played that came out since we last talked on GameList, so things that would be eligible for Game of the Year. Then we talk about our actual Game of the Year list. We build that as we go. After we've talked about other games that we've been playing, classics, replaying something, casually enjoying, you know, whatever games we might be checking out outside of the new releases. The next segment is news. It's not comprehensive. We're not talking about every single news story that happens, but, you know, we cover a decent amount of stuff. And then last up is what's coming up in between now and the next time that we'll talk. We'll just kind of gauge hype and talk about some release dates and dig into what you might expect to hear on the next episode of GameList. What I will be playing, what Colin will be playing, that type of thing. It's a general video game show, just got a bit of an outline when we go through it. And if you're watching this for the first time, you might notice that it looks so good. And if you're watching this not for the first time, you'll notice a new coat of paint. We're kind of styling. We're out here in the future.
Kind of.
A little bit of a rebranding, a light rebranding, more like a color palette swap in a different. Yeah, it's a rebranding. It's good though. Logo stays the same.
Yeah, a medium rebranding. You know,
it's a medium rebranding. That's exactly what I thought.
It's like Walmart. You know, like Walmart's 10 years ago looked slightly different, but they're still blue and Walmart. Yeah.
Yep. Still has that yellow flare. That's that kind of jam.
Yeah.
The other thing is, let's just talk about like changes to the format coming up, I guess. Oh, wait. First, the thing about news that I wanted to elaborate on is that every once in a while, there's a piece of news that is so urgent to talk about or so many games to be played that we do a special episode. So what we guarantee you is 12 episodes a year. This is Game List for February. We're recapping everything we played in January. We're starting our Game of the Year list. However, already there's been an occasion so big for the both of us that we felt the need to talk about it separately. So we created a standalone episode in your podcast feed and on YouTube at youtube.com/@GameListShow, where we broke down the PlayStation State of Play. We'll talk about that again briefly when we get to the news section, but for the most part, our conversation for the state of play is there. Go listen to it separately. It's an hour-long breakdown and a really nice piece of content, a little episode 0 for season 3, if you will. But other times when something is a little bit smaller, arguably smaller, like the developer direct, we will save it to go over today on a show like this very one. The other thing that I want to talk about is kind of changes going forward. For the most part, we're not fixing what's not broken. We're just trying to double down on the things that have worked for us in the past. So from a behind the scenes aspect, what's changed is that typically in the past, I would host the show and then I would also locally record it and do the controls on Canva. And Kaulin would help out with like writing descriptions and pulling assets for that. And now what we have going on is a little bit of a separation of power there, where I will still be hosting the show, but the
separation
tech is being
of
handled
church
by...
and state.
That's exactly it. It's perfect.
Yeah. I'm the church, you're the state.
So now that makes sense, on brand for our given religions.
It's true.
Separation of temple and state, I guess. What we'll be doing going forward is Kaulin is actually on the 1s and 2s over there. So he'll be doing the B-roll live when we're recording this thing. So if you watch the YouTube version, you get a nice image of what we're talking about. This is not a great example because the first 10 minutes is us blabbering to each other, mostly me. But when we're talking about like Persona 3 will pop up on the screen. And then after a little while, after we've been talking about it, while I'm monologuing, Kaulin will bring up a video of Persona 3 so that you have B-roll, something to look at other than our 2 cute mugs. In addition to that, we will be doubling down on guests on the show. And this is not a risky one, but it's a tougher one to accomplish, and that's why I'm going to try to use some of my time to network, because I'm going to have a little bit more time because I'm not doing the tech stuff for Kaulin. So what's nice is that he and I will be able to work together to bring some new guests onto the show. So I'll be reaching out to I'd like to find other like independent podcast hosts. I think would be a pretty hot ticket if I can find some other people that are doing podcasts of a similar size to ours, to see if we can cross-pollinate a little bit. Maybe we can guest on their podcast, they can guest on our podcast. If not, we will definitely be reaching out to friends of our respective shows. We have individuals that come through. What am I looking at? Are you doing a picture-in-picture of us?
I was giving an example of how I'm on the 1s and 2s, and this is our PlayStation Showcase reaction. So
it's so distracting.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good visual example to the watchers. Okay.
Of course, this is what B-roll can look like. Show them the other screen. You think you're so fancy?
Yeah.
Show them the 1s and 2s.
It's
really
going to be
this thing.
Well, it's going to be a spoiler for what we're talking about today, but we've got Persona 3 Reload.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna press the other button, man. With the YouTube
what other
video.
button? Oh, this button.
We have a B-roll. We have a whole B-roll scene.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah,
that's us.
See?
That's us on the B-roll right there.
Yeah, we're pretty fancy. Audio listeners are loving this segment right now.
Yeah, Well, they can watch us on YouTube then.
Exactly, that's true. But we appreciate you listening to us and watching us wherever you can. The goal is to grow. The other thing that you might see is that we will be posting these episodes I'm at least going to be posting it on my YouTube page. I'm not sure if you want to post it on your YouTube page. I'm just pushing this fucker out wherever it'll go. If we have a good segment, I might chop that out and post it separately on the GameList page or on my individual page. You might see different thumbnails, different things to try. Basically, we are happy with the show. We are going to make the things that work even better. We are going to increase the stuff that people enjoy hearing, which is guests on the show, extra voices, but we are only aiming for like 50% guests. So in a perfect world, we have 5 or 6 guests this year, and the other half of the episodes are just us. I know for me, I love having a guest on the podcast, but I yearn sometimes for a podcast to have just its regular hosts. So I want to keep the balance of that really good. I don't want to have a guest every single episode or anything like that, because the show at its core will always be you and I bantering about some bullshit, like we're doing right now.
And
now,
also,
typically we don't. Yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say, since I'm on the 1s and 2s now, our resolution has gone up. We're going from 1080p to 1440p, so you can see more of our pores in the YouTube video.
Hell yeah, I look good, baby.
Yeah,
you love to see it. And typically we don't ramble this much. Typically we're pretty like chill. There's a little bit of housekeeping to do today. I didn't even do this with an outline. I'm obviously just freestyle on top of the dome as far as like what we're working on and our changes. Just wanted to get that out there and ramble a bit. Typically the intro to our show is us talking about who knows and whatever for 3 minutes until I say, Kaulin, what you been playing? What are you most excited to talk about? But today, we'll start it off a little bit differently because I want to talk about what I've been playing most recently. I am hot off of 3 hours of Persona 3 Reload. And honestly, I love it.
Yeah?
I love it. So what's your history with Persona?
I have none. Persona 5 is a game that I've wanted to play for a long time, but I feel like I'm too far behind on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been fighting myself to not go buy this game today. Like I really after we end recording, I might go buy this game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be happy recommending that to you, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
It's so good. So my history with Persona is shoddy at best. I played Persona 5 a couple of years after it came out, and I put in about 12 hours. And the whole time I was like, I really like Persona. I just don't know if I can play this right now. I don't know if I have the time. And I eventually was like, I'll come back to Persona at some point. Then things got a little complicated, and I was like, well, I kind of want to play Persona 5, but now Royal is out. So I'm gonna do a fresh playthrough no matter what. I might as well get Royal because that would be the right way to dig back in so I can have all the supplemental content and the epilogue and things like that. But because of that, there was always now a price attached to it to upgrade, and I never really found the time. I got a little bit caught up in the hype though when Persona 4 Golden got ported to Steam.
Yeah.
So I said, maybe this is the Persona that clicks for me. So I bought that for $20 to support it when it came out. And I got even less far into that. I got 4 or 5 hours, and then I kind of had the same thought of like, listen, if I am going to play a Persona game, I am going to play Persona 5. I don't think the answer is Persona 4 Golden for me until now, at which point we are getting a full remake of Persona 3 done essentially in the Persona 5 style, or at least to that level of like polish and gameplay feature. And Persona 3 Reload is available now. It came out just yesterday on all consoles, right? It came out on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam.
I think it's everything, except maybe Switch. I'm not entirely sure with Switch.
I don't think Switch. Yeah, I don't think Switch. Because I'm not positive
they
on
got they got like a remaster of Persona 3 recently, if I'm correct.
Yes, there has been a remaster as well. Really, really fun, really strong opening to a video game, and also on Game Pass, which was a big reason why I checked it out. So no install cost for existing Game Pass subscribers. But the thing about Persona 3 that initially stood out to me, or Persona 3 Reload that stood out to me, is obviously
they shoot themselves in the head. That's what stands out to me.
Dude, it's so fucking
Does
badass.
it stay?
It's so cool.
It's still there? Everything's good with that? They still pop themselves in the head to turn into their...
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's kids within 15 seconds of this game's opening cutscene. There's this girl like hiding behind a door from a monster, and she is holding a fucking gun against her forehead. She's like, I was like, geez, oh my god, they're really going for the gold.
I love that
for sure.
I love games that I love any type of media that like tackles uncomfortable topics like that. Like, I think it's really interesting and cool to see how things explore that type of stuff.
For sure. Hey, don't be afraid of that other B-roll scene, man. We're still popping here. I'm going to backseat. Produce for Kaulin.
Yeah. Stop. I kind of forgot about that button, to be honest.
I got you. I did it for so long that we're going to have to do it live.
I'll tell you a little bit of behind the scenes. I haven't renamed the buttons on my Stream Deck, so I can't remember which button to press because I haven't renamed them yet, and I need to do that. But
you do need to do that for sure. That's a necessity. But the opening of this game is so strong. Obviously, one of the things that we talked about on stream is I take things slow when I'm streaming, and I'm talking to chat, and kind of like I'll have moments where I put down the controller and just talk about who knows what or look up a word or something like that. However, I didn't fight a single battle in Persona 3 until about an hour and a half in, and I didn't fight another one until like 2 hours and 15 minutes in. This game has a slow opening. It is very much a anime start to a video game.
Is this game fully voice acted, or are you reading?
Yeah. I mean, well, it's not fully voice acted. Every single little bit of dialogue isn't voice acted. In the first 3 hours, I would say that 80% of what I interacted with was voice acted. So when you talk to like a main character and they're talking, like 95% of their stuff is VO'd, unless it's like you're repeating something. Then they'll just go, all right, and you'll read like, all right, why don't you go to the locker room or something like that, like a little sound bite. Same thing with a couple NPCs where they won't have like fully VO'd stuff, but for the most part Yeah, this isn't like a quick cash-in remake where they're doing their own voices. There's like a very talented voice acting cast and a very talented like dubbed voice acting cast as well. All really well done.
And I guess my last question is, do you make your own character, or is it a predetermined character?
Predetermined character. That's one of the big differences from, I think, like there's been a couple versions of Persona 3, and the first one you played as the person that you see with the kind of like the bluish black hair in this current Persona 3 Reload that's on the cover and everything. There's a female protagonist that you have the option of playing as in the other ones, and that's not a part of this game, which some people are a little bit miffed on. But overall, it's a very on rails experience. You were a silent protagonist, it seems. Voice wise, you answer questions and stuff, but you don't have like, your character is not like your name is not Nathan Drake. You're playing as, Jake Twitchin.
Okay, I didn't realize it was a silent protagonist. And stuff.
It's tough to call a silent protagonist. Like, you're still answering questions and having, all of this game is about like building out relationships and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So there's a big element of that. But from a general standpoint, to just talk like brass tacks, it's a anime game that is a turn-based RPG at its core. It works around a calendar. If you don't know Persona, I feel like this is a reasonable jumping in point. Essentially, you have a day-night cycle in the game where every day you have a finite amount of time to exist in the world. You go to school, you're in high school, and you're building relationships with teachers and staff and other students. And then you have your time after school where you're able to go on dates or work at a job or further build relationships or work on your character's stats in an RPG form. And then at night you go into a dungeon, and in this game there's one big dungeon instead of multiple little dungeons, and you slowly but surely explore this entire area, and that's where the bulk of the gameplay comes in, where you're actually leveling up and summoning personas and using attacks and items and healing and damaging and the whole 9 yards. Very by the books. If you like Persona 5, this game is made for you. And the thing for me that's really selling it is Persona. This is obviously nothing new to anybody who's a fan, but the Persona soundtracks are always very strong. And apparently, one thing that I didn't know is that, go on, sing your favorite Persona song. You already have one, even though you don't play Persona.
Oh God, it's right on the edge of my tongue. It's like almost right
You'll never see it.
Never see it coming.
Yeah, that's two guys that know that song well. You've heard a bunch of like their ambient tracks too, without knowing it as well. Yeah. There's a bunch of bangers, and one thing that I didn't know is that, especially for the three most recent Personas, 3, 4, and 5, they all have like a similar overarching sound, but for the collaboration, each one of them has kind of a different influence. So Persona 5 was like a jazz-based influence, is that. Kind of like what you hear throughout the whole thing. And 4 apparently was more of like a pop rock thing, whereas 3 is like rap, hip-hop, I would say. And there's a lot of like actual rap verses in some of these songs, and it still has like that kind of Japanese like poppy music, and everything is kind of like a bop, and like the the battle theme sounds like a battle theme, and the overworld theme sounds like an overworld theme. But then there's just like this little bit of a boom bap in some of those songs that kind of hits right, and some funny rap verses and stuff. It's pretty good. I'm really impressed, and I think especially when that soundtrack gets a wide release, we'll see a rise in popularity. I would be surprised if there was a song individually that stands out as much as that one song that Never See It Coming from Persona 5 that really transcends. But I would expect that to be pretty well regarded and one of the strong points going into it.
I've got 2 questions for you to round this out.
Yeah, for sure.
Persona 6, which color do you want it to be?
Green.
Green? Okay, I was kind of thinking that. Like what?
We have
like
blue, yellow, red.
Like a forest green or like a lime green?
No, I think like a green, like the shirt that I'm wearing. If you can't see, almost like an army green, I guess, like a
John Deere
darker. Green. Yeah, like a camo green. Unfortunately.
Okay. And then,
but I think that would be cool.
They
had Metal Gear Solid 3 green.
They had like Soul Hackers 2 recently that was kind of greenish colored, if you remember that.
Yeah, but they did blue recently for Shin Megami Tensei 5 as well.
Oh, was that blue? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was pretty blue. The protagonist had blue and the cover was pretty blue, but that was like a Switch only game, and I don't think it really counts.
Yeah,
I think that.
and I think Soul Hackers kind of like bombed. I feel
Yeah,
like
I think so. It had a little bit of a rise, but I think it came out at a bad time.
yeah, I don't think it did very well. Although I was interested in it, but I didn't play it because these games kind of scare me, to be honest. And then
Really? They're just big, yeah.
yeah, they're large. And my final question: does this make you more excited for Metaphor ReFantazio, or do you know yet? Have you had a chance to really think about that?
No, I don't know. I'm like in the middle, like Metaphor Reach Fantasio. It's impossible to say that game like a normal person.
Yeah, it's a
Metaphor
horrible name.
ReFantazio seems like it's Persona trying to be Final Fantasy, and I am still like pretty hot on Persona just trying to be Persona. Like I don't know, like I'm excited. I'm more excited for the next Final Fantasy, and I'm more excited for the next Persona than I am for the game that is trying to meld the two together, if that makes sense in a weird way. Like I think one of the appeals of playing a game in this art style and playing a Persona game is that day-night cycle and that calendar thing and living out a school year and building those relationships and stuff. And I don't know if that's going to be as appealing without that. I mean, the battle system looks similar and it's obviously very good, but that remains to be seen.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I'm surprised. I expected to stream Persona for an hour and a half and then move on to something else and just check it out because it was a Game Pass new release.
Yeah.
And instead, I think that I'm pretty in on this, and I think I'm going to play it off stream. And like after this, I do think I'm going to boot up Persona at some point tonight to go do another day, and talk to Best Girl and wrap up my homie and maybe get a fucking tea. I don't know. It's good, man.
I think I'm probably gonna play it. I think I might. I think I will.
Just be weary. There's some good stuff coming out in the next couple weeks, and then obviously you need to be fucking pretty cleared out on that by the 29th because.
Yeah, and that's my problem is I've got a busy month, so I don't really know how much gaming I'm gonna get done this month.
The thing is that I would say go for it. Like grab it, get it in the collection, see if you can toss some time into it right now. If you need to leave it and come back to it at some point in the summer, you're better off getting a base coat, owning it, feeling like you like it, and then if you need to find time for it in the future, finding that time, as opposed to letting it live on like the daunting Persona 5 that's eluded you for this long.
Well, yeah, I mean? And that's the thing is, if I wait too long, I'll probably never take the plunge to buy it. But also, I don't want it to become this year's Octopath 2 for me, a game that I know is phenomenal, and I know it's like an amazing JRPG, but I just can't find the time for it. Other than the first 4 to 5 hours that I put in it.
Yeah, I think looking at the schedule of what's coming out, and we'll talk a little bit more about this. We talked about this for the state of play. Is like that middle chunk of the year is starting to fill out, but I don't think April through August or September is going to look as thick as April through September of 2023. So I do feel like we're going to have a better grasp and opportunity to play the things that we want to play this year, especially going into the holiday season than we did last year. So I wouldn't be as weary as you were with Octopath. Yeah,
already this year I've had a good chance to kind of fill in a lot of complete some of my backlog, which we'll get to later in this episode. But Persona 3. Can we talk about Persona another 3? P game? Like that?
Yeah, the lies of P.
No.
Now let's move on to our.
This is a better game.
We're leaving Lies of P in 2023. Fucking that game popped up in our list like 6 times. It was like I played the demo, then you played the demo, and then you started the game and fell off of it, and then you came back to the game, and then you fell off of it, and then you beat the game. I think Lies of P was featured in like 6 episodes last year.
Yeah, way too many, honestly. But
yeah,
I want to talk about
Prince of Persia, man.
P rents of Persia. Do you like that? Do you like that?
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah. So Prince of Persia, it's Metroidvania. It is. I'll start this off with a banger statement. Okay. This is my favorite Metroidvania ever. All right.
It's top 5 for me. I also have to say, as I start talking about it, I do need to disclose that my copy was provided by Ubisoft, which is very nice of them, but
mine wasn't.
You gotta figure that in.
Screw you guys.
Yes. Whatever, man.
No, I'm just kidding. I actually have a
what else is on your radar for Metroidvanias, dude?
Hollow Knight was my very first Metroidvania. I loved it. But I got to the final boss fight and didn't finish it because it was too hard.
Right.
And then I played Metroid Dread, which was good. I really enjoyed it, but I got to the final boss fight and didn't finish it. I played Carry On, which is kind of a atypical Metroidvania, and I hated it. There was no map. How do you have a Metroidvania without a map?
Did you say Metroid Prime?
I might have said Metroid Prime. I meant to say Metroid Dread. If I said
Well,
Metroid
they both count.
Okay, well they both
One's
count.
just 3D.
Okay, I played and beat Metroid Prime. I think it was fun, but I guess when I talk about Metroidvanias, I think more of the 2D Metroidvania. This is my favorite 2D Metroidvania. Yeah. We'll say that.
Traditional Metroidvania.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I'm sure there are others that I just can't think of. I think there's Axiom Verge or something like that.
Yeah.
So you
played a lot of new age Metroidvanias. I really encourage you to go back and play some classics because I think the two that like come to mind most often, and like there is the new age, like I think Hollow Knight is probably in that top 5 conversation if we're talking about Metroidvanias.
Ori, both of the Oris.
I think the Ori game, the second Ori game, is probably in that top 5 conversation. And then I would probably say if we're just doing like single brand representation, number 1 and 2 in some order still for me are Castlevania Symphony of the Night being number 1 and Super Metroid being number 2, which are
I'll be honest,
the titular Metroidvanias.
I have no intention of ever going back and playing them because the quality of life updates that the new Metroidvanias have just absolutely make those old ones so annoying to me.
You'd be surprised that like there's as far as like the difference in quality of life things that you might get from like an old Zelda to a new Zelda versus the quality of life changes between like Super Metroid and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown are actually kind of fewer and farther between than you might think.
But can you take screenshots of puzzles and leave them pinned on your map?
No,
exactly.
That's good shit.
Yeah. So in
that's good shit.
So in this Prince of Persia game, you're not actually playing as the prince. You're playing as I've actually forgotten his name. Sargon. That's right. Right? Sargon? That sounds right.
I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't bet on it or against it.
Yeah, you're playing as Sargon. He's one of the Immortals, which is like a group of like legendary warriors that protects the Prince of Persia. And the setup of the game is the prince is kidnapped and you have to go rescue him from this like mystical area. So you're in this area, you're running through, exploring the whole shebang of a Metroidvania, exploring new areas and different environmental like challenges. And then it has a really good story. I thought the story was great. It has a lot of anime influences. A bunch of the fights are so cool. I had a really good time on a lot of the fights, and I did take a couple notes about it, which some of them are kind of spoilery, so I won't get into it. But there is one section. There's one section on the far east side of the map. It's like a sea area. I don't think this is too spoilery.
Oh, I never got there. No, yeah, I think you're a little too spoilery. Don't go into detail of what's happening there.
It's just got the best environmental design and art of like any Metroidvania I've seen. It's really cool.
Above Ori.
Yeah, above Ori. In
Nice.
terms of like, you just have to get there to know what I'm talking about. Sure. It is.
I think
it is a very good art design for that. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. What's your let me talk a little bit about my history of Prince of Persia. You bring up some B-roll and I am going to monologue a little bit because I have a pretty complicated history with Prince of Persia. Now, Prince of Persia, this is a 2D side scroller, but my history is with a lot of the 3D versions of Prince of Persia. Have you played 3D versions?
No.
Have you played any?
No.
None?
None.
Huh. Okay. Well, I started with Prince of Persia Sands of Time was my introduction, which I think was 2003, then that whole trilogy. And then my favorite thing, I made you watch video of Prince of Persia 2008, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Yep. Pretty sick. So Prince of Persia 2008 is like a 3D reboot, which I really love. And then Prince of Persia was kind of sidelined for a while in favor of Assassin's Creed, and they kind of took over that 3D landscape. And this is a Prince of Persia that's more akin to the like Prince of Persias of old, which were like all old like PC Atari era games, which were definitely side scrollers as well. So it's the first time being like a Metroidvania, but not the first time that Prince of Persia has been on a 2D landscape. And I gotta say, I think I want both, because I want that return to form for Prince of Persia, no doubt, with like the Sands of Time trilogy and the remaster. You think that game's going to come out in the next 2 years?
Yes, I think it got leaked. There was a Peggy rating for it recently.
Oh, no shit.
I think so. At least I'm pretty sure I saw that. But
nice.
I mean, it should have been out already. It's kind of ridiculous. It's taking.
Oh my god, it's crazy that it was announced, disappeared. This game was announced, released, and now we still don't have a release date for the new one.
Yeah,
insane behavior.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
But yeah, really digging this. Talk to us about how far you got. You finish it?
Yeah, I beat it. I have the platinum trophy. I pretty much 100% of the game.
I got about 8 hours in. I'm falling off now. I don't know. I haven't booted up in a couple of weeks, and I fear I may not.
I think it is a stellar Metroidvania. It's only a Metroidvania I think I've ever finished, like 2D Metroidvania.
I get it. It's easy to fall off those.
Yeah, it is. It's easy to fall off of them, because if you fall off for just a couple days, then you've got to relearn all the controls and whatnot, and like especially for like platforming stuff. This game's nice because you can lower the difficulty, so it kind of takes away some of the grind of like boss fights that I really hate in some Metroidvanias. But the whole like platforming stuff can be really difficult.
For sure.
I think the trailer, if you're watching the video version right now, right? I think this trailer does a really good job of showing off its like colorful anime influences. It has some really dope cutscenes and like just stylistic choices that make it very colorful and very just a very visually striking art style.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like somewhere between like Assassin's Creed and Fortnite. Like, it sounds absurd, but like there's like an element of like a cartoony style to it that really does work in some way.
Yeah, it works really well.
I'm hot on it. And here's the thing, is like, as of right now, this is my game of the year, and I get that I haven't finished it, but I do think that I will at some point, probably this summer when I got a little more time, because it scratches an itch that I get pretty often for a Metroidvania. Like, I usually go back and play like a Symphony of the Night, or like I played like Metroid Fusion last year, for example, to play this style of game. And this is absolutely the one that is going to be the one for me. Mm-hmm. Where's it ranking for you on Game of the Year?
I think right now it's number 1, but that's because it's the only new game I've played this year, aside from one other that we'll get to.
Yeah, I got a couple. I mean, Persona 3 has a shot for me too. That's the thing, is like our Game of the Year list is going to be a little shoddy here in this first.
Oh, it always is right at the start. Yeah.
Couple months, yeah, for sure. But nonetheless,
for sure,
as things start to kind of fill out, we'll lock it down.
Speaking,
you can't expect me to rank Persona 3 after 3 out of 100 hours that it recalls.
yeah, for sure.
What were you about to say?
Well, I was gonna move on to The Last of Us, actually. If you're done with Persona, yeah. So The Last of Us Remastered came out. Have you, or are you going to play this?
No, I don't think I'm gonna play this. I don't like this video game.
Oh, that's right. You're a weirdo. I think The Last of Us Part 2 is one of the greatest games ever made. And it will go down as probably the best series ever. I don't know. I really love The Last of Us. I think it's amazing. I think Part 2 is a stellar follow-up to Part 1. And then this came out with the Lost levels, which are like unfinished levels that were going to be in the base game, but then they cut them because they either just didn't work for what they were trying to convey or whatever. So they have 3 Lost levels that are kind of alpha. Some of them still have gray boxing in them. Some of them don't even have completely recorded lines. I think they're really good. You get a developer like intro track. That's Neil Druckmann saying like, this is what we were trying to convey here, and this is why it was cut. And then in the level itself, you can walk up to these little like floating text boxes, and then you'll get developer commentary about like 5 to 15 of them each level of like level designers talking about what they were trying to convey and why they had to cut it, and how they were going to reuse other systems in the game to make these like new things work. I absolutely love the lost levels, and I think it's a great way for work that was done on a game to not be completely wasted. Like, people still spent months and months of their life on these levels that were then just cut to maybe never be seen again. But I think this is a great way to have them seen by the public and let people see your work. And then there's also the new roguelike mode that I have not checked out yet.
How long were those levels?
I think it took me 40 minutes to do all 3 of them. So they're not super long.
Yeah.
But it was definitely like, I would have easily paid the $10 upgrade fee to play those lost levels alone.
Let's run it back just a little bit here and just talk about what this game is. So this is The Last of Us Part 2 remastered for PlayStation 5, and it is a slight remaster. It's just like an upscale, right? As far as like the base game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
It's not like as intense as the first one.
Right, and it is a $70 game. The first one was $60 when it came out, The Last of Us Part 2. And then the way that they have justified it is basically like, if you were still, allegedly, although it's been on sale for a lot more, if you were to go out and play The Last of Us Part 2 on PS4, it's a $60 game. It's $70 on PS5. If you own the PS4 copy of the game digitally, or if you have the disc for it, you can put that disc into your PlayStation 5, and you can pay $10 to upgrade digitally to The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered. Again, still available if you would like to just roll over and grab it from your local game shop for $70 straightforward. Now, included is the original version of the game with just a little upscaling and a new coat of paint. It is those lost levels like you're talking about. It's the roguelike mode that you're about to talk about, and then anything else in that package, or no?
It has a like free play guitar mode that I'm not really interested in.
That's right. Yeah, that's kind of cool though.
Yeah,
that guitar is like one of the cooler parts of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, it's got free play guitar mode, like new costumes. Like, you can have Ellie run around in her like spacesuit the whole game, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think what else. It has like other things of like, you can watch the entire documentary within the game. Of like the making of
Grounded?
the game. Yeah, Grounded Part 2. So I haven't actually watched that yet. I'm gonna probably watch that within the next day or two. But you can watch that within the game.
Came out yesterday, I think, right?
Yeah. So there was an update that like made it available in the game, and
Wild.
other things like that. I'm fairly certain. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. But
pretty
but
cool.
yeah, no, it's got some cool stuff in it.
Roguelite you haven't checked out yet?
I know I haven't checked it out yet. I plan on it, but I'm not a huge roguelike person. I've said that on here before, but yeah,
I think it's getting a tough shake right now with Valhalla being such an easy way to kind of segue into Valhalla, our conversation. But it's easy to compare God of War Valhalla and this Last of Us. What's it called? No Return.
Yeah,
something
No
like
Return or something like that.
Because they're both such similar game modes, and it's argued that Valhalla is the superior product, and people are saying, well, why is this one $10 when the other one's free? And it's because it's a suite of products. Like, you're essentially, Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is $10 more if you want the PS5 version. You get the bonus of having the game in, full HD and whatnot, and those bonus levels, and then you have that roguelike mode. It's not just an update to an existing game. There is a little bit more to it, which I justify. Before we move on completely from Last of Us Part 2, and I ask if there's anything else that you want to talk about for it, we'll move into Valhalla, because I think that makes the most sense.
Sure.
Roguelike to roguelike and Sony to Sony wise. I do just want to be on record of saying that I think Last of Us 2 tarnishes the reputation.
You're so wrong. You're so
Last
wrong.
of Us Part 1. Last of
No.
Us Part 1 had the opportunity to just be a perfect little standalone story. I get that it's hard to kill a cash cow, but god damn, sometimes you don't write a sequel.
It is a perfect 2-part story that is about to be a 3-part story, because Neil Druckmann has gone on record saying that he knows what Part 3 is going to be. He just hasn't written it yet. So I can't wait. I think The Last of Us is phenomenal. I loved Part 2 more than Part 1. But also talking about the comparison between No Return and Valhalla, I think PlayStation kind of shot themselves in the foot here. Overall, I think No Return offers more in terms of gameplay. I think it offers more gameplay opportunities, but Valhalla offers story, which is really hard for me because I take story over gameplay most of the time. That's why I really
Yeah, it's
enjoy like
also
my.
kind of mid gameplay versus like really good gameplay, which is
You think Last of Us Part Two is mid gameplay? Oh my
yeah,
god.
for sure.
No, it's not. Last of Us Part
Fucking
2 has some of the best
plays the
gameplay.
fucking same way as Resident Evil 4 from 2004, bro.
Oh my god, you were so wrong. You were incredibly wrong. You were oh my god. That's horrible take. Horrible take. But let's hear your horrible take on God of War Valhalla.
I liked it. I played it for about an hour and then I got sick of playing a roguelike like I often do
That's
because I
fair.
don't really enjoy the genre. And then I watched the ending cutscene and I loved it. I thought it was great for people that like that kind of thing. I hate that there's such important lore that's hidden behind a roguelike, epilogue DLC type of thing in some ways. But in the long run, I'm happy that we got it. I think that especially as a free update, it's a really nice service and a nice, like, I don't know if it could be like an end cap to this era of like Kratos' story, but I still wish that if we were getting more God of War content, it was actually like a single player epilogue that followed the typical God of War gameplay, I guess, like 3 or 4 hours through an epilogue of God of War that was a linear or slightly open action game as opposed to a roguelike would be much more interesting to me, or spend that time working on what is likely the next God of War pseudo sequel or half sequel, the Spider-Man Miles Morales of God of War that has been slightly rumored to be in existence. But where'd you land on it?
I think God of War Valhalla might be the best free DLC ever made. Um, I absolutely adored it. I hate roguelikes, but this one really got me. Like I didn't even finish Hades because I didn't love it, but this one hit, and the fact that they managed to retrofit their already stellar like gameplay and upgrade system into a roguelike model, I thought they did a really good job of managing that. I also it's just the gameplay's really fun. It was nice to step back in after a year away. And then there was so much story that was doled out during the gameplay. It did a really good job of, going room to room, giving me little like breadcrumbs that kept me going. I did play it on the easiest difficulty because I didn't want to deal with the frustration of dying and being set back. So I played on the easiest difficulty, died like once, I think, and got it all done in maybe 4 to 5 hours. And I think it was totally worth it. The story payoff was worth it. And I think they did a really good job of making it affordable. I know like the DLC is free, like the expansion is free, but the way they like manufactured these areas, they reused places like in the base game to a certain extent. They were adjusted, but they reused places in the base game, and I feel like that allowed the developers to tell a story without sinking in a ton of cost that would then require us to pay for it. So I think they did a good job of making it affordable for not only the studio but for other people. Like it was great. It was a free update, and I think they really shot themselves in the foot for No Return because this had a great like extension of the story, but you can't really have an extension of the story in No Return when it isn't canon. This is canon, 100% canon. So
Yeah,
I really
think
loved
it's I think it's nice. I think it's a good. I think you're right on best free. I can't think of any other free DLC that really stands out as being like, wow, I can't believe they added all this shit. But it is a nice completion to the package, to the point of like, it's almost crazy that they don't have the ability to box this thing up and sell it for $20 and put out a God of War fucking gold or something like that says like
Easily.
includes Valhalla. Like
Yeah.
there's something to the marketing for this game that it does make it seem like it could be its own piece of standalone content for sure.
They could have charged for this, and I would have paid for it. And it's worth noting they added new enemies for this mode specifically. They added new environments.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into like spoilers of what exactly they added, but it is new to Valhalla, or new to Ragnarok at least. And I think it was really good.
It's good shit, but it technically, and it is, we have it on like our new releases, but it didn't technically come out this year, right? Didn't it come out in December?
Correct. Yeah, it came out last December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is tough, and like it's another weird one too, where it's like such DLC and it's so roguelike pilled that I don't know if it would have actually like made Game of the Year lists or how we would have figured it in. But
I don't
to
think
you on like if we want to include this on next year's DLC of the year or this year's DLC of the year. I mean, who's going to tell you no? It would be me, and I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I think it's fine either way, but I also feel like for the most part, it's kind of insubstantial. Overall, it's a 5-hour experience. So I probably won't really include it. But it should be worth noting, like, I've talked about my disdain for DLC on this show before. Like, I'm not a huge fan of DLC, but I did go through this and got every trophy for it and enjoyed my time with it.
Yeah.
So,
you want to hear a disgusting thing?
Is it going to be about Palworld?
No. I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to talk to you about how I watched the ending of God of War Valhalla.
Yeah.
Instead of playing it.
Uh-huh.
I fucking skipped Tekken 8 and watched the whole movie of all the cutscenes.
Are you serious? Did you even play it?
Dude.
Did you play it at all?
Not a second. Well, I played the demo for like an hour that had like the opening like half hour of the story mode, and I did like some arcade matches, and I really liked it, but I've got like some fighting game fatigue going on right now.
Oh, that's fair.
Where I was so in on Street Fighter, and then Mortal Kombat came out, and I just like I don't know if I really needed to go and drop $70 on Tekken is kind of where I landed. But it's such a crazy batshit. You ever play a Tekken game?
No.
It's such a crazy, like, batshit insane story that it's so fun to watch as like an anime, basically. It's like an hour and 45-minute long crazy fucking movie. And it's awesome. It is so crazy. I would encourage, even if you're not sure about Tekken, if you've never played the series before, if you're not going to play it, go and just watch the Tekken 8 movie. It's so fun, dude. It's so fun. There's so many characters. There's so many outrageous anime over the top moments. There's people throwing people off of cliffs into volcanoes and shit. There's people throwing helicopters through buildings. There's many fights. It is just an absolute blast, and the game is great. If you like fighting games and you're in, go for it. But I won't talk too much about a game that I barely played and essentially cheated my way through. But I just wanted to mention kind of where I landed on Tekken. I loved the demo. There's a demo still available if you want to check it out.
I was really close to buying Tekken 8 just because there hasn't been many new things at the start of the year, and I don't love I don't love fighting games, so that's the only reason I didn't buy it. But it looks interesting. I'm probably more interested in Tekken.
You have fun.
I'm more interested in Tekken than I am Street Fighter.
What about Mortal Kombat? Above Mortal Kombat?
That probably not. I just don't know enough to make a call between those two.
Mortal Kombat's in a terrible place right now.
That's
like,
what
people
I've heard.
hate that fucking game.
I've heard it's not been great, so that's unfortunate.
Doesn't have the legs people wanted. Yeah.
Let me call up Ed Boon and say, hey man, fix your game.
Hey man, I was at the show with you.
Hey man, I got a picture with you, bro.
You.
All right.
Hey, I kissed your lips. Why don't you send me a copy of All right. I played Skull and Bones. And I'm gonna go light on this because we're probably gonna talk about Skull and Bones
next month
soon again.
Yeah.
But I played the closed beta for Skull and Bones again. I got access via Ubisoft. I got to disclose. And I had a pretty good time with the game. It's a little rough around the edges. It is not going to be, I don't think, anyone's game of the year, especially from outlets based on what I played. But we've only played the closed beta test so far. There's an open beta that is starting on February 8th and 9th that I'll be streaming, and then early access to the game starts on February 13th. The game ships on February 16th, and I don't think it's going to be as bad as people say. I don't think that this game is going to come out and score like 4s and 5s. I expect it to get like 6s and 7s, I think, is kind of my guess. At this point, it's a meme of how crazy the development history on it has been. But when I play the game, if you like a pirate sailing sim, if you like being in boats and doing little quests and launching cannons and upgrading your ship. There's a lot to love there. I had a fun time streaming it for a few hours for sure, and I'm going to be digging back in. And then a little pitch too is I'm giving away a couple PS5 copies. If you're listening to this and you want to win one, just stop into my Twitch chat in between now and February 13th, and then courtesy of Ubisoft giving away copies.
Hey,
a bunch of legends.
I'll trade you a copy of Skull and Bones for Horizon Forbidden West. PS5.
I have no interest in Forbidden West, nor do I have interest in fucking up my promotion with Ubisoft, where they're hooking it up. I'm giving it away on the up and up. You're going to be entering the contest because you want to win a copy.
Well, yeah, I want to win a copy because I don't want to buy a copy.
Yeah, you gotta win. You gotta win fair and square.
There's too many other good games coming out this month to spend my money on Skull and Bones.
I think there's a decent amount of people that are willing to spend their money on Skull and Bones. I think it's gonna scratch an itch that a bunch of people have.
Like I want to play this game because I love Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but I don't want to spend $60 on it.
It feels nice. It looks pretty good. It's like there's fun to be had there, but we'll dig into it when I have played the full version. I'll be playing it for at least like 6 or 7 hours guaranteed over the next couple of weeks. So we'll keep our eye on what that all looks like. You have been playing some weird fucking games, man. And we're gonna move into that's it for like new release stuff, basically.
No, wait,
let's actually recap
Palworld. Talk about Palworld.
Oh, I fucking skipped Palworld. Yes. Good call, dude. Here's the best part about Palworld is I'm not going to talk about the legal Nintendo bullshit that you keep on hearing about Palworld.
Yeah, I don't care about
fucking
that.
over it. I'm sick of hearing about Palworld in the news. I'm just going to talk for 2 minutes about how I have enjoyed Palworld. And the truth is I have enjoyed it. I played for about 2 hours on stream, and it is a standard survival game. It plays a lot like Valheim or Ark, if you've ever played those two games. I then played a little bit off stream because I do like creature collecting and I thought it might be fun. And I kind of lost interest pretty quick playing it single player. It didn't really grab me the same way. I kind of wished that I had continued streaming it until I started playing it with my friends. And that's where I have to endorse Palworld. Palworld does some pretty spectacular shit with its base building and with its like creature collecting and with its co-op gameplay. All in all, it is very much a game meant to be enjoyed multiplayer, and so far I gotta sing its praises. Like, there's a reason why it's popular. I know that it's become a meme and that it's been the source of quite a bit of controversy and speculation over the last couple months, over the last couple weeks. But what people have been getting away from is that Palworld's a fun experience. Like 19 million plus players, probably 20 at this point, is no fluke. Yes, it's on Game Pass. Yes, it's cheap on Steam. Yes, it's in early access. But there's something here, man. Like, it is fun to play like a third person game that has shooter elements, that has creature collecting elements, and that has like a fair amount of progression for being in early access. Do you care about this game at all?
Not really. I'm not gonna play it. I don't think, unless some of my friends were like, "Hey, let's play Palworld." But I think it is really. It has some interesting gameplay stuff, like being able to like enslave your pals to make them build your.
You can enslave humans.
That's
for sure.
I mean, like, I don't want to like encourage slavery or anything, but that's kind of funny, like in a game scenario, you know.
For sure.
I'm really curious. Has PETA put out a statement about this?
No.
I feel like PETA's pissed off about it. I know PETA is pissed off about it.
I guess. I don't know. Is PETA beefing with like video game?
Oh, absolutely.
Things like
PETA,
I feel like that's a lot of work, dude, man. You're fighting a dying battle there.
PETA is beefing with everything they can.
Is anybody causing a ruckus about kids blowing their fucking brains out in Persona?
Oh, PETA doesn't care about that. They don't care about humans. They only care about animals.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Animals are so important because they can like invent the internet and work jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
We should definitely value them more than humans.
Yeah, but I don't have anything about Palworld. That's pretty much, yeah. Cool game, you know.
Hot takes. Yeah. Hot takes. Yeah, cool. Let's not talk about any of that controversy like every other
I really don't
podcast
want to. I have no interest in talking about the legal stuff of it.
It's so annoying. Anyway, you've been playing some fucking weird games, huh, man?
Yeah.
I looked at your what I've been playing list over like the past couple of weeks, and I was updating it. You have like a Twitter thread that you share, and I was like, what the fuck are these things? Like, I barely know what the hell you've been playing. Like, you don't even watch The Expanse, and you played The Expanse game?
Okay, hear me out. I was told The Expanse game was a prequel to the show. So I was like, oh, well, let's play the game first and then watch the show since it's a prequel.
No, man. Release order. Always release order.
So I played the entire Expanse game and got the platinum on it. And the show is now on my list to watch. Yeah, here's the thing: is I was away last month, working, living at like an Airbnb for a month, and I had this little TV, and I was like, what can I play on this little TV that'll be entertaining and interesting? And I was looking at my backlog because I had already finished Prince of Persia, so I was like, let's kind of clear out some of the backlog. This was on the backlog, and I had bought it in a sale previously. And I was like, well, I mean, I bought it. I have it installed. Let's play it. And I had a great time with it. I thought it was a really enjoyable time. I'm really interested in this world now. It's more of I guess when I think of like space stuff, I think of like intergalactic or like I don't know, throughout the whole galaxy. But this is just like in one solar system. This is just in our solar system. So I find it really interesting.
When did this game come out?
Last year at some point,
Oh, okay. So it's like the new, like, rebuilt Telltale team, right?
Yeah. I don't even think it was Telltale. I think it was Deck 9. It was either Deck 9 or Don't Nod that made it, and they just label it Telltale because it's like a recognizable name.
Yeah, it's that type of gameplay. Telltale series.
It was Deck 9. But yeah, so I had a really good time with it, and I'm definitely watching the TV show soon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you edit out the burp I just did into the mic?
Oh, I didn't even hear a burp.
Maybe it didn't come through, but if not, you can edit. You can leave this whole part in, but maybe mute it or something. Nah, fuck it. We've come too far. Sorry.
No, we're leaving the burp
Sorry
in.
about that, listeners, if you heard it.
We're leaving the burp in.
That's life. That's your favorite podcast host. I've been playing Final Fantasy VII. Remake, and right before this I finished my playthrough. I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake, I beat Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrated Episode Intermission, the Yuffie DLC, and I am fully prepped, well, mostly prepped for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes out at the end of this month. Holy shit, man. I think I'm ready to say that Final Fantasy VII Remake is my favorite Final Fantasy game, and it might be my favorite video game. I don't know. I am so over the moon about the characters, and the problem is that it can't exist without having the original Final Fantasy VII. Like, I don't think it would be anybody's favorite game who didn't already love Final Fantasy VII. Like, I don't think it's close to being your favorite game, despite you really loving it. But when you enhance your experience with an original Final Fantasy VII and then play this game, it just ticks all the boxes for me as someone who loves Kingdom Hearts and loved the original Final Fantasy VII, particularly the stories and the characters. It is just unbelievable, and obviously the PS5 upgrade version of it holds up very, very well here 3 or 4 years after it initially came out. Just an absolute feast for the eyes, and I couldn't be happier playing through it again for, I think at this point, the 4th time. I've rolled credits on it, in the 2nd or 3rd time for Intermission. Really, really
like
special.
Just Intermission you've played 4 times, or like all of it?
I played the entire game, Final Fantasy VII Remake, 4 times, and I played Intermission, I think, 3 times.
Yeah, Lee. Jeez.
Because I played it. Yeah, I played it once. I played it once myself off stream. Then I streamed the entire game on stream. Then I played it.
I remember that Wednesday Night Stories or something like that. That was a
Wednesday
long time
Night
ago.
Stories. Yeah, back when I first started streaming.
You know what's
I
funny?
played the entire game.
This is a quick aside, but I was on my Google Calendar the other day, and for some reason, Wednesday Night Stories and Saturday with the Fellers is still on my Google Calendar, like persistently. I don't know why, but it's there.
That's so funny, man. Yeah, I played through it on stream, then I played through it again off stream when Intermission was about to come out. And then I played through the whole shebang one more time. So Intermission 3, regular game 4.
That sounds like you have a problem.
Adore it. Yeah, it's a lot of Final Fantasy. I have a Tifa statue. It's all very cool and normal. No big deal.
I feel like I need a Final Fantasy statue.
You have a lot of statues though, but like I think mine is weirder because I only have one statue and it's just of Tifa.
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like I need a Final Fantasy statue.
Yeah, you should get one. There's a great Cloud one coming out. for Rebirth.
I need like all of my statues are just a bunch of buff dudes. I feel like I need a hot chick.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you need babes.
Yeah.
We added that. Did you see that I added the Oh, you did. Yeah, this is perfect thing to talk about. So I re-updated, like if you listen to the game list, we have a shared Excel document that we update every year with like different things. So I have like a column for January 2024 games played and then January games played. So things that are new, things that are old, January news, release dates coming soon, stinkers, our game of the year lists, our honorable mentions. We just kind of track everything together. And then we have all the categories for the game list awards that we do every December or January. And one of the things that I added was best hunk and best babe for 2024 that we're going to track. And Colin just typed yes, and then typed Tifa into his column for best babe already, even though the game is not out yet, which I think is very based.
Yeah,
smart.
We need to play F, Marry, Kill with Final Fantasy characters when it comes out.
It's Mary, Tifa, kill Aerith, fuck Jessie. Easy.
Well, I don't think we can include Jessie since she's.
You gotta kill Yuffie. She's 16.
Oh yeah, we do have to kill you. Or no, I'm joking. Yes,
she's a fictional character. It doesn't count.
We have to kill her.
And also, so shamefully hypersexualized.
I know.
I think she might be older in remake, to be honest, but
they need to just
go by 1997 rules out there in Wild West Japan.
That's like just an entire anime problem, like as a whole.
Yeah, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, but they should just like change it in like some glossary or something in Final Fantasy Rebirth.
For sure.
So, but anyways, yeah, I'm sure there's other new characters that we'll have to include in our debate as well. So
that's it for females. Well, there's like,
all right, Barrett,
have, like,
Cloud,
some characters.
and Red 9 or Red 13. What's his name?
Red 13. I'm gonna fuck 13. Red 13 just to find out. I'm gonna marry Cloud and I gotta kill Barrett.
I hate that. No. Oh my god. Where's Kate Sith landing?
Kate Sith top of the list for fuck. More than I'll have to kill.
I just want to rub it in again.
Kate Sith is
about this time last year we were arguing whether it was Kate Sith or whatever you said, Cat She or something.
Cat She.
Yeah, and they came out on Twitter and said, "Yeah, it's Kate Sith."
Yeah,
they confirmed it. Yeah,
gonna erase the Irish Celtic culture from our game.
Yeah, you know, too much. But yeah. Oh, I also played another weirdo game.
What you got?
Scars Above. This is probably the most double A game I played last year.
Sure.
It came out last year and it is rough at. Well, I was gonna say rough at times. It's just kind of rough, but like I had a good time with it.
Yeah, this game looks like a fucking PS2 game.
Yeah, but I think that's why I enjoyed it, is because like it was simple enough to like not get overcomplicated. It was about 6 hours.
What kind of game is it?
It's like a sci-fi third-person action adventure. Like it's very linear, linear.
A jump and a melee and
yeah. So you have like a melee and you shoot your guns and they're like elemental things. Honestly, it reminded me a lot of like Metroid, like in the monster design. And just the environment of the game, it felt like it had a lot of Metroid influences on it. But it's like very linear. It's a third-person game. You're just running around this alien planet, trying to solve a mystery.
Animations look stiff.
Yeah, it's like very double A, very stiff at times, and like they definitely had to like cut some things out because boss intros are like just videos that play. They're not like animated in engine. So they're like they're very compressed and you can see like the artifacts where they were compressed.
It's like that is like such an old PS2 mentality thing. It's where like if you ever do like emulation of like a GameCube game, for example, like things will upscale and render and like,
and then it gets to the cutscene, it's like yeah,
full screen fucking pixelated nightmare.
Yes,
for sure.
But I mean, I had
what made you play this one? Did you buy it like retail or?
It was on like the list of I have like a list of games that I always want to buy if I can find them physical. So for Christmas, I just sent that to like my girlfriend and my parents, and I think my girlfriend got it for me for Christmas. So I have a physical of it just chilling back here. So I played it, and I had a really good time. I thought I kind of disliked a lot of it, but I had a really good time with it too. At the same time,
You're turning into me, man.
Yeah, honestly, it definitely.
you got a very Jake pilled list. This back half of like all these weird obscure games that are like 6s and 7s is Jake twitching type shit.
You know, I didn't think about that until you brought it up, but this is like a bunch of these is like something that you would play on stream and be like, yeah, I played this,
bro.
And, you know,
look, the first look at these 6 games. It's like you played The Expanse, I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, you played Remnant 2, I played Metal Gear Solid 2. Like
that is odd. It's like our lists have flipped.
Yeah, but you've been playing Remnant 2.
Yeah, I have. I've been playing Remnant 2. I've been playing it with a buddy, so it's
oh yeah, the co-op is pretty good, right?
Yeah, the co-op's been really good. Me and the same friend tried to play Remnant 1 together. Probably about 2 years ago, before Remnant 2 was ever announced. And we just could not get hooked on it. It was something about it. It was cheap. It felt cheap. But Remnant 2, man, they really, really cranked up the production value of this game. It's really fun. It's got really good like procedural generation. For the most part, everything in this game is procedurally generated. Like they have like their format or whatever. But from what I understand is you can start on different worlds in this game. So it's got like the intro, and then from that you fast travel out, and it randomly sends you to a world to fast travel out to. So there are a couple different worlds that you visit throughout the campaign, but the missions can be randomized between each world. I could be completely BSing this, but this is what I understand. I'm not anywhere near done with this game. I'm about 4 to 6 hours in, since I am only playing it co-op. But I've had a really good time with it. It feels really fun. The upgrade systems are really interesting. And it's one of those games that does a really good job of making every upgrade feel important. Like sometimes you get a skill tree and some of them just feel like, okay, I don't really care about this skill. It's kind of boring. But each of the skills in here that you can upgrade and work to, they just are interesting to me and I really enjoy it.
Impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. For sure.
Cool. Listen, I got to admit something. I don't really want to talk about Metal Gear Solid 2 that much.
Okay.
I want to make a plea.
You want me to play it?
I need you to play Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3. So here's my plan. Here's my plan. Ready?
Okay.
I love this shit so much, and I know that you love Death Stranding so fucking much. And the one thing that binds us here now is Kojima-san. And I think it's time for us to build a complete picture. So here's what I've done. And I've got a little bit of a head start on you, but in some ways you got a little bit of a head start on me. So here's my plan, and I think you should buy into it. So I figured I'd bring it up on stream to see if we can obligate and make for some really good conversation over the next few months, over the next year or so of GameList. All right, you ready?
Okay.
Here's the plan. We both play through Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, and 3 before Delta comes out.
When is Delta coming out?
Delta.
When is Delta coming out?
We don't know, but probably holiday season of this year.
Okay.
But it shouldn't be before August. It'll be, I'm thinking September, October, November. But there's time, essentially.
Okay.
I am about halfway through Metal Gear Solid 2. Metal Gear Solid 1 will take you about 10 hours. Metal Gear Solid 2 will take you about 12 hours. Metal Gear Solid 3 is probably closer to 20, but I don't know. I haven't actually played it. They're silky smooth games. You can get them down quick, is what I mean to say. And I'm loving the playthrough. But it would lend itself perfectly to, if we and you are the people that we are who love to be hype and in on franchises, getting prepped for Delta. Delta comes out, and then post Delta, in between Delta and Death Stranding 2, I'll play Death Stranding. So that way I'll be fucking hyped for Death Stranding 2, because I want to be in on that as well.
Okay.
And then in the meantime, when I have time to spare, then I'll resume my Metal Gear Solid playthrough and get back to 4 and check out 5 and Peace Walker and all that stuff.
So,
but my plan leading to Death Stranding 2 is basically I want to play Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3 Delta, Death Stranding 1, Death Stranding 2.
Okay. So what
do
I'm
you think?
doing, I like that idea.
Yeah.
My my stipulation is I want the physical copy of Metal Gear. If
That's fair. Yeah.
So I'm currently looking on my phone to see where I can buy it from. I will agree to this. Okay, I will agree to
Fuck yeah.
this. I think that's totally fair. I love Kojima, and it's definitely like this is some history that I've wanted to kind of catch
Same.
up on. There's a lot of older games that I don't have any desire to ever play. Metal Gear is definitely one that I want to try. But I will tell you my history with Metal Gear real quick.
Sure.
I got Metal Gear Solid 5. Never played any of the others. Got it when it came out. Played for about 8 hours. And it just did not click for me. And I returned it.
Yeah.
I never trade in
Wow.
games. And I traded it in. But I've grown a lot as a gamer since then. Isn't that a great statement?
Yeah, that's something.
And I think it might click now because I've definitely gotten more into Kojima stuff. I've gotten more into stealth stuff. So I'm definitely down to try it out. So I'm looking around. I'm kind of sad because it was on sale for like $30 recently, and now it's back
I think
up
it's been
to
like 42 as the cheapest that I've seen it.
Oh, I think I saw it like the other day or a couple weeks ago for like 30. It's up. It's 45 right now.
Oh, that's reasonable.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's pre-owned. But I'll probably
check GameFly. GameFly is usually the way to go.
Oh yes, I
Pre-owned.
love GameFly. I have a GameFly app.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll try to get it, and
I think you'll like it. Metal Gear Solid 2 is Metal Gear Solid 1 is like rough around the edges just because it's like PS1 era, but it plays really well and does crazy things. And the story holds up so well. And then Metal Gear Solid 2 is such a fucking huge step up where it like almost looks like a modern game and controls like one. Like it really is so impressive. I'm loving my playthrough, but I'll talk about it more when you either get to it or when I finish the game.
All right,
But
it is.
I think Metal Gear Solid.
It is $35 on GameFly.
Oh, dude.
So
Pull the
I
trigger.
will buy it and I will
Hell yeah.
play it. But we need. Yeah, I'll find a time. I was gonna buy it on stream.
For sure.
I was gonna buy it on stream and show you like, oh, here's a completed thing, but I can't sign in. I forgot my sign in for GameFly, so I have to figure that out afterwards.
A classic.
But yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it.
Absolutely. Let's move on to you checked out Lake.
Yeah, Lake.
The fuck is this?
Okay, so I'll
You
explain.
inventing games, bro?
I'll explain. I have an explanation. I played. So okay, let's take it a couple steps back. I'm trying to read books more. Okay, trying to get into reading some more. So
Did you get this game because you like Sam Lake so much that you thought you just like all Lake stuff now?
Yeah, I'm a big Lake fan.
Big Lake guy.
Yeah, and I'm going to.
I'm check out his other games, Sam and Max next.
Yeah, I'm going to a Lake. I'm going to a Lakers game later in the year because I'm a big fan of
Holy
Lake.
shit! You just lost all of our listeners.
I'm
bro.
not going to a Lakers game. I don't care about basketball. But anyways, now I lost the other half of listeners that stayed.
That's right. Yeah.
So
Everyone's out.
I was reading a book called To Sleep in a Sea of Stars. It's a sci-fi book that was traveling in space, and then I played The Expanse, and that was a space game, and then I played Scars Above, and that was a space game, and I was like, man, I've really kind of done a lot of space stuff recently. I need to kind of swap up the mood. So this game was installed on my PlayStation. It had been installed for quite a while, and I was like, okay.
Listen, audio listeners, I just gotta tell you, Colin, I'm sitting here just listening to a monologue, and he just started the B-roll up in like the fucking first. The reaction that you heard of me just fucking completely breaking and laughing was just like seeing this game's gameplay, and it's this girl opening up the back of a fucking mail truck, and it looks like fucking dog shit. It looks like a Nintendo 64 game.
Dude, this
this
is literally like, speaking of Kojima, this is like the Hallmark version. This is the Hallmark version of Death Stranding. I'm not even joking. You play as a male woman on like a lake in the Pacific Northwest. I think you're technically in like Oregon. And you literally just wake up every day and you have to go drive your mail route and deliver the packages, and you can start dating one of the loggers. And at the
end, it
took
me a second to realize when you said male woman, and I was like, female man? Okay, got it. Understood. Mail carrier. Female
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. You play as a female mail carrier.
No, I think male woman works.
Male woman
my
works?
brain just got crossed.
Okay, well, anyways, you like deliver packages, and you have to talk and make friends with people here. I got the platinum on this game. it took longer than I wanted it to take. I was actually pretty hot on this game up until the very last part of it, because
the final boss,
dude, literally. So at the end of the game, there's like 3 different endings. There's the ending where you stay in the town as the male person. There's the ending where you leave the town and go back to your corporate job, or there's the ending where you leave the town in like an RV and just like go on a road trip to nowhere. Okay. But
it feels like I should play this game.
You
dude.
should.
This sounds like the stuff that my chat would be all about. This stupid stuff.
I think you should. It is like so corny at times, but also it has there's a radio in the mail truck, and it plays like the same 3 songs over and over again. But I'm not even lying. I kind of liked all the songs, and every time one would come on, I'd be sitting there like humming along to it. It was great.
They went quality, not quantity. It's smart.
Yeah,
it's just smart.
And then at one point in the game, you talk to the person that runs the radio station, and you can say, "Hey, I feel like you need more songs on the radio." Like, they acknowledge that they could probably only afford the rights to like 4 songs.
That's pretty good.
And then, oh god, it was. At the ending, it had 3 different endings, but to get those 3 different endings, you had to go back like 30 minutes each time. So I played the end of this game 3 times, and it was like an hour and a half of listening to the same conversation over and over again. And there's this one section at the end where it's a karaoke night, and I kid you not, I swear they got somebody off the side of the road and said, "Hey, sing this song." And it's the worst singing I've ever heard in a game, like ever, probably ever. It was horrible singing, and you can't skip it. I didn't realize.
So fucking bizarre.
I didn't realize you could skip dialogue at all. There's a part in the menu, like in the settings, where you have to go in and toggle skippable dialogue. So then it will allow you to skip dialogue. I sat through the ending for like an hour and a half when it could have taken just maybe 15 minutes if I had to skip through the dialogue.
How long is this? I'm watching like this B-roll right now, and it's just been the same conversation of this girl and somebody else in the diner, and I am falling asleep just watching this fucking B-roll. Like, this looks like the worst game.
Some of the conversations take so long. It's absolutely ridiculous how long some of the conversations take. But there's one like little side story to this game that I thought was really funny. It was your boss at the post office. I was going to say the mail place. Your boss at the post office.
Yeah.
He's engaging in like sports betting, and this is set in like the 80s where I guess it's illegal or something. He's engaging in sports betting, and he's making you deliver unmarked letters throughout the town, and they're just betting with each other. And then a private investigator comes in and like corners you at the post office and is like, "Hey, do you know if your boss is doing anything suspicious?" And you can either rat him out or deny everything. I totally ratted him out, but
nice.
It was honestly like, it felt like a 6 to 8 hour Hallmark movie, and at some points I hated it, and at some points I loved it. But I'm so glad I played it, because it was the perfect like antithesis to all the sci-fi games that I had been playing. So
that's so bizarre.
It was something else. It was something else.
Speaking of bad games, I played Sonic Adventure 2 recently, and this is a game that is so beloved by so many Sonic fans, and I'm a big Sonic fan, and it's been a gap for me for a long time, and I've been kind of excited to talk about this on GameList because I want to get my shit down on wax on where I stand on Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2. Sonic Adventure holds a nostalgic place in my heart, like Sonic Adventure 2 does for many more, because it was multi-platform. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was a bigger deal, I think, than Sonic Adventure DX's port onto GameCube. So people really love Sonic Adventure 2, and for me, it was always Sonic Adventure 1. I played Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 when they came out on the Dreamcast, and I played them again when they came out on the GameCube. And then since then, I've played Sonic Adventure approximately 10 times, and I've played Sonic Adventure 2 maybe halfway through once over the last 20 years. And I always just had in my head that Sonic Adventure 2 was as good as 1, only it just had some shortcomings, and that's why I didn't like it. But after playing it, I've decided that Sonic Adventure 2 is decidedly bad, and Sonic Adventure 1 is so good and so much fun. And here's the reasons why I initially thought, and then I'll get into what I think now. The big difference between Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 is that Sonic Adventure 1 has 6 playable characters with 6 distinct stories and playstyles, and it all takes place over different selectable characters that exist in the same overworld that can navigate to different levels for different experiences. So you have this like overarching narrative that intertwines, and then you're a little bit freeform in how you go about each character's story. And then of course the overarching like world that you live in adjusts and changes. So you have like Station Square and the Mystic Ruins and these big overworlds that you can explore and find little side quests and secret levels and raise your chow and the whole 9 yards, right? There's a lot to do in those games. Sonic Adventure 2 has 6 playable characters with just 3 different styles because they're a clone of each other. So when you start Sonic Adventure 2, you choose hero side or dark side. And if you do the hero side, you're playing as Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. And if you're playing the dark side, you're playing as Shadow, Robotnik, and Rouge. And those characters all have a counterpart. So Shadow levels play the exact same as Sonic levels. Tails levels play the exact same as Eggman levels, where they're both in a fucking mech, and then the Rouge, the Bat, and Knuckles levels play exactly the same, where they're a fucking like treasure hunt for keys or gems. And let me tell you, this game is a slog. The only good levels are the Sonic levels in this game. The Knuckles ones are so annoying. The Rouge ones are so annoying. The mech levels are like weird gallery shoot 'em ups that are so fucking annoying. And then the worst part about it is that it's all level based. You just go sequentially through level 1, 2, 3, 4. There's no overworld. They literally take it away. I hated this game so much, and I hated some of the level design decisions in it so much that I actually rage quit playing this game on stream. I did it in 3 parts, and when I got towards the end of the hero story, I played it for the last episode was 20 minutes long because I couldn't make this jump, and the game didn't do a good job of telling me where I was supposed to go, and I just fucking lost it. And I never lose it. I play bad games all the time, but there's something about a good game that's masquerading as a bad game that makes me flip my wig.
Did you ever
a bad game that's masquerading as a good game?
Did you ever finish Sonic 06? I remember you struggling hard at that.
No, but I like Sonic 06 way more than this. I used to play that with the homies when we streamed together. I think I'm gonna start a solo playthrough of that sometime soon because I'm determined to show the world that there are Sonic games that are better than Sonic Adventure 2.
You know,
I'm gonna start with this, baby. I got Shadow the Hedgehog. I bought it for $45.
Wow. Why didn't you just emulate
for the original Xbox? I don't know. I don't really love emulating games. I'd rather go original copies whenever possible.
So now, whenever you ask me, why didn't you just play it on Game Pass? It's the same reason. I just like having it, you know?
No.
Yeah.
It plays the same. That's a bad reason.
Emulating plays better than the OG.
It's unreliable on my computer is the problem. It's like maybe sometimes things crash.
Maybe
there's texture
upgrade
issues.
your computer, bro.
I should upgrade my computer. I might. We'll see.
I will say,
yeah, Sonic Adventure 2, I had a bad time, and it leads me to go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna finish out our Sonic conversation.
Yeah, that's where I went.
Oh, okay. Well, I hate Sonic, but I like Sonic because of that Sonic gamer, our mutual friend. I love him, and his passion for Sonic makes me tolerate it. So yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, man. You got to get into the franchise. Eventually, there's going to be a Sonic game that comes out that reviews so well that you can't avoid it. It'll happen. But the reason why I wanted to pick Sonic Adventure 2 here and then segue is because of my frustration, I ended up having to like kind of kill some time on a stream. Like I planned on playing Sonic Adventure 2 for a couple hours and I played it for 20 minutes, rage quit. And then I was like, I'm just going to move on to something else that's like low commitment. And I ended up in this 2-series stream of I played SSX 3 and Burnout Revenge. And let me tell you about how much I adore these little video games. First of all, Burnout Revenge is probably the best arcade racer of all time. Maybe Burnout 3 is better, but there's something spectacular about Burnout Revenge. And let me tell you, in 2024, this game holds up. The sense of speed in Burnout Revenge is unlike anything else in video games. They get close on like the Need for Speed remasters of like 2010 and 2012, the Hot Pursuit and Most Wanted games, because they're also developed by Criterion, the people who made Burnout Revenge. But there is not a better situation than playing a Burnout Revenge game that not only has sweet racing, but also has the awesome crash mode, which is like figuring out a racing puzzle every time. Have you ever played the crash mode in any Burnout game?
I have not. No.
You ever played a Burnout game?
Oh, a long time ago, I had a neighbor that had it, and I played it on
Probably
his...
like a Burnout Paradise or something.
Yeah, I think so.
That's the most popular one. So Burnout at its core is like a series of races, but you're taking other cars out is typically what you're doing. There's some that are just like, hey, why don't you just go fast and get the best time? But there are others where you need to take out opponents. So your goal is not just to finish the race, it's to finish the race while also taking out 6 rivals or something like that. And then in addition to that, we're watching B-roll right now, and I'm blown away again at how fast this game is going.
Yeah.
Then again, there's actually a crash mode, which is a completely different mode where you start on a track and there's a predetermined outcome of like where cars are going to be coming from. And you're trying to cause the most turmoil that you can on this little track to gain enough money to, you know, get the gold score. Essentially, it is such a fun little combination of things. Burnout Revenge is a 10 out of 10 video game, along with Burnout 3.
Yeah,
Burnout Paradise is a 9.
Something about these old Burnout games, or even like the old Need for Speed games, they just look good to this day, and I don't know what it is or how they manage it. It's
Criterion, and I think it's like if you slow down, it doesn't look that great. But it's the speed, that fixes it.
Yeah, that's fair. It's definitely they do something somehow. I'm a big fan of.
It's crazy that game is like almost 15 years old.
Yeah, you know, I've also never played a SSX game.
Yeah, SSX is absolutely incredible. SSX 3 in particular is maybe my favorite of all of them. It definitely is my favorite of all of them. SSX 3 is, if you don't know the SSX series, it's like extreme snowboarding, basically. Snowboarding Supercross is what SSX stands for. But SSX 3 gives you a semi-open mountain and a bunch of different things to do. Same deal, you can either do like a trick attack thing where you're trying to get the high score, or you can do a race. But what SSX does very well is it is the Burnout equivalent of snowboarding games. It is over the top, it is boost based, and you are doing insane tricks where you like unhook the board and spin it around on your fingers and then hook yourself back in. You're not doing 1080s, you're doing, you know, 72,000s. You're doing 25 different flips in the fucking air, just going absolutely crazy. There's something very special about this game, and it again holds up pretty well. It doesn't hold up maybe as well as like I would say Burnout does visually, but the game still looks very, very good. I had an absolute blast jumping into this thing again, and it just has the right aesthetic. It does not take itself seriously. It's a very goofy video game, and you're not playing this game the same way that you would play like a Steep or something where it's a realistic mountain. There's over the top rails. You're playing snowboarding through cities and shit and just having fun. Like it is just both Burnout and SSX are the epitome of fun. They're both from like that era of EA pumping out video games, and every once in a while they just have one that hits perfectly, and these are just two great examples of that. So fortunate that Sonic Adventure sucks so that I could go play some actual good games. Now, if you're all done talking about mid games, can I push you to our last your last game?
My last game?
Or is this game mid too? Yeah, South Park?
No, it's actually really great so far.
Okay, yeah.
So I actually I've been away for the past month, and I've been doing a lot of work after I get off work. So I was like, hey, how do I how do I entertain myself while I'm at work, but not at work, you know? So I turned on South Park in the background and watched it while I was doing work. And I've never actually played a South Park game before, and I've never actually watched South Park before this. So I have watched through like the first 8 seasons over the past month just while I'm doing work in my free time. And it has been really funny and really good, and I've really enjoyed it. So one day I was like, well, I want to watch South Park, but I also want to play video games. So how can I do both? So I decided to start up one of these games, and luckily it was on the what is it? The PlayStation Plus type thing because of the Ubisoft inclusion. So it was actually on there, and I got to play it. I've gotten to play it for free, and I've had a really good time with it. It's like grid based combat. So you're it's turn-based, grid-based combat, and all the kids are like cosplaying or like role-playing superheroes. So it's really funny to see like what a superhero power would be to one of these like kids. It's been really good. I'm about I don't know, maybe 4 hours, 5 hours in now, and it's kind of like set up by the day. So I just ended the first day, and I'm currently at a strip club trying to get information about something. So it's just like this like 12-year-old at a strip club, and they're like, what are you doing here? But South Park's humor is hilarious, and I don't know why I've never watched it before.
Yeah, those older seasons hold up a little bit better than the newer seasons, I think, upon rewatch, because they're kind of like evergreen content that are just funny for funny's sake. They're not always just like digging into current events.
Yeah.
Whereas South Park these days, I've fallen off so hard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it is good. It's still a running show.
It's funny too, because like a lot of the old jokes and stuff are still really relevant like today. So they did a really, really good job with all that old stuff. But yeah, I'm on season 8, so I'm curious. Who's your favorite South Park character?
Probably Cartman.
I hate Cartman, dude. Listen, I grew up with like a fat dude that I swear his personality was based on Cartman. Like he's exactly like Cartman. I know he grew up watching South Park.
Who's your favorite? Like, Butters?
Butters, dude. I love Butters.
Yeah, it would be.
How did you know it was
Butters?
Butters?
Is a good pick.
Butters is my favorite.
I think a lot of people like Butters. I go back and forth. I like Towley a lot.
Who?
Towley?
Oh, Towley. Yeah.
Have you seen the first Towley episode?
Yes, the first Towley episode, and he's just stoned out of his mind.
The first Towley episode has
like, oh, I'll figure it out.
They make him choose. They're like, Towley, now you have to choose between your friends or getting high. And he goes, I choose both. And then he just like grows in size. It's the fucking best.
Oh
man.
My god, he was always like, oh, I'll remember if I just get a little. Can I just smoke once and I'll remember? And then he smokes.
Towley's
got
a problem, man.
Like, I don't know, man.
What a topical, funny conversation about South Park. We're really killing it this time.
I love it.
We got one last game.
Yeah.
King Kong. Or it's actually not called King Kong. It's called Skull Island Rise of Kong. And let me tell you, I played this game as a community channel point reward. And it is as dog shit as everybody said. But hot damn, I love this little game. This is a fun stream. There was something about it. Like I played Gollum last year and Skull Island Rise of Kong, which are arguably that and then the Walking Dead game, the worst games of 2023.
Oh yeah.
And the difference is that like Gollum is a bad stealth game, which stealth, if you get wrong, is so fucking annoying. You know, you're basically climbing around, you're trying not to get noticed. You get noticed, you're redoing things, you're getting checkpoints. Whereas Kong is a bad action game, which even if it's janky and it's just a fucking mess, it's a lot easier to jump in and play Kong like in a funny way. Like, okay, I died here and it was cheap, but I can game the system and use this combo instead of that combo. So it's a less frustrating experience despite it being bad, but it is hilariously bad. And honestly, like kind of a fun romp. I would recommend, like, I feel like I should stop like like obviously if you hear me talk about a game, chances are I've streamed that game and you can go watch it. But if I had to recommend a stream to watch me play Skull Island Rise of Kong, because it is spectacularly bad and spectacularly funny and ridiculously frustrating. I fought one boss for about an hour and it was fucking crazy, but again, it's not as annoying to fight that boss over and over as it is like it's not as annoying to fight that boss over and over as it is to get caught by the same orc in Gollum. You know what I mean? There's something about that just stings worse.
I feel like I don't know. You play bad games that are bad. I play good games that are bad. If that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sometimes. I don't know. My bad game is I switch it up. I'm playing the next community point goal is I'm playing Big Bumpin', Sneak King, and Pocket Bike Racer. You ever played those games? The old Burger King games from 2006?
Sneak King, it was NoClip did a documentary about that recently.
We watched it. That's how we ended up doing it. We watched it on stream.
Yeah.
And the documentary is fucking fascinating and really, really cool.
Yeah.
Have you watched the documentary?
I haven't. But I listen to their podcast like that. Their podcast is my favorite podcast.
You should watch it. You could even just listen to it as a podcast. It's 45 minutes long documentary and some of the stuff they do. Maybe we should save it for next episode when I'm talking about those games. But they did something really cool with that disc.
What I do for like documentaries is like if I get sick, I just binge watch all of the documentaries that I've missed over the past couple of weeks. So, or past couple of months. So that's kind of what I do whenever I want to watch one of their documentaries.
For sure. You'll have a good time. They did some really cool technological stuff with those games where like it was came out for original Xbox right when the 360 was coming out, so they wanted it to be playable on 360 and original Xbox, but the backwards compatibility program hadn't been announced yet, so they basically segmented the disc into two different playable games, one for 360 and one for Xbox, and then taught the 360 how to ignore the Xbox disc as it was being created. It's really fucking dope shit. It's probably more technically advanced than I just explained, but impressive nonetheless. Pretty cool. Let's just talk about our game list real quick. We don't have a visual for it because there's really nothing to really show, but right now I think we probably both have Prince of Persia up at the number 1 spot.
Yep.
My
correct.
number 2 could fluctuate, or honestly, Persona 3 could take the number 1 spot as I put more time into it. I will update you as such. And then I'm putting Palworld on my list. I played it. It's, I'm not putting anything else that I've played. I'm not putting God of War Valhalla because it's a little bit weird. Skull and Bones, we'll see once I play the original, like the full version. Tekken 8, I don't have a good, indicator of. I've played enough Prince of Persia to know that I'm going to probably get through it this year, so I'm comfortable with it at my one spot now. But if I
want you to get through it because I have some like spoiler stuff I want to talk to you about.
Yeah,
that just I had notes about.
If we get to that point of like game of the year and we haven't talked about it, then spoil away. It's my punishment, but pretty good. Should we move on to the news? Of course. We move on to the news, but keep in mind we are not going to be covering the PlayStation State of Play in a big way. If you are interested in the PlayStation State of Play, check it out separately in your podcast feed or on our YouTube page, wherever you'd like. We broke down that entire thing for an hour. We also each reacted to it separately on our YouTube channels, which you can find me at Jake Twitchin anywhere, which is amazingstreamer.com for a portal. Kaulin's anywhere you look for Kaulin _ KAULINE_ if you want our reactions. And then it's worth noting that there's a part 2 to the State of Play coming on February 6th in the form of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is so exciting. So that's going to be a standalone thing. In my theory, it's demo day, baby. You know this.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Talked about it.
But without getting into it, what was your favorite thing from the State of Play? Just as
Sonic X Shadow.
Okay.
Generations.
Mine I think was Judas. So go watch that.
Pick.
Yeah, go watch that to find out more.
Do you know? I feel like. Do you know the show like Hunter x Hunter?
Yeah.
It's called Hunter x Hunter, not Hunter x Hunter, even though it's stylized as Hunter x Hunter, correct?
Yeah.
So I think that game is actually called Sonic Shadow Generations.
That makes sense.
I don't think it's Sonic X Shadow Generations. I'm not positive though. I would love to hear them actually talk about it and tell me for sure.
I think it's.
But let's get into.
I think it makes sense.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think it's just kind of up to interpretation. It's one of those things that I don't think there's like really a standardized definition for it. But
yeah, Yeah. Let's make our way into something that we didn't do a standalone episode for. We saw the Xbox Developer Direct 2024. Started off pretty strong, and it was only announced that we were going to be seeing 4 games from 4 developers, and they hit us with the extra, the bonus. What did you think of the show in its entirety?
I actually thought it was a really good show. It was really balanced overall. It had like good AAA stuff, and then it had like the Aura History Untold, like city builder type thing.
Yeah.
But
I think
they did a good job of not promising too much, you know?
Yeah, the expectations, it was very similar to what we got last year outside of a strong shadow drop that a lot of people thought we were going to be seeing at that point, which would have been nice. Obviously, the Hi-Fi Rush highs of that first developer direct weren't reached via this developer direct. However, I really enjoyed the format once again. I think the developer direct, you've heard me be very critical on this show about the formats in which games can be debuted and games can be shown, and I hate a CG trailer and a title reveal. Like, I think back to the Concord is a really good example. Concord's reveal at the PlayStation State of Play or the PlayStation Showcase a couple months ago is, for me, get fucked. I don't want to see that at all. Just keep it to yourself if you have nothing better to show. You know, you're showing a new IP that I have no reason to care about. All you showed was a spaceship interior and a cheeseburger, and I have nothing to go off of. Debuting a game, even if it's not debuting a game, but showing a game off in this format where we have a decent amount of time to look at like a pre-rendered trailer, a gameplay trailer, segments of gameplay, and then hear from the developers how they are creating this game and giving a little bit of insight into how progress is going, to me is the best way to experience like a press conference. This is the kind of thing that I really like when we spend a good 7 or 8 minutes with each of the developers. Even to the State of Play's point, which we expand upon more in our standalone episode, you know, the best segments were arguably the looks at Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin. Would you agree?
Yeah, more or less, I would agree.
Yeah. I think it's just a cool. I'm always down to spend more time with games that are coming out, you know, and even something like Aura's Stories Untold was at least interesting to see the way that they put together that project. And where do you stand on Aura? Are you kind of hype off that? It's right up your alley.
I'm definitely interested in it, but if it comes to PlayStation, I'll play it.
Yeah, and this is, well, we won't dwell on this because for me, not a huge one, but it is very much from people that used to work at what studio? The ones that made Midnight Suns, Civilizations 4, 5, and 6. Firaxis, correct. So some good talent there, and if you like that kind of top-down isometric view war planning strategy game, then it is definitely for you. That is something that I am completely out on. The surprise of the show was pretty interesting. We ended up getting a Square Enix debut out of nowhere. And I guess it wasn't really like a debut because we've seen this game before, but seeing Visions of Mana pop up and seeing Square Enix be the studio behind it was pretty cool because they have set the precedent before this at the last show that it was only going to be first party. And this is our first time. Obviously, it's only the second developer direct, but it's the first time that we saw a third party collaboration appear in this format for them. So I think this format going forward, I would like to see this happen multiple times a year so we can have more opportunities and partnerships like this. But having Visions of Mana coming to Xbox on day and date is a pretty cool announcement. Do you care about this at all? You've played like some kind of, I don't know, smaller JRPGs as of late. Like you were in on Tales of Arise last year or 2 years ago.
Yeah, Tales of Arise was great. This one, it interests me. Is there like a party mechanic in this game? Or I really like games with party mechanics.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, but it's a little bit more focused. You're controlling a character in like a more actiony thing. Like it could be argued that the Trial series is, or the Secret series is, I'm sorry, the fucking Mana series is more a Final Fantasy VII remake than it is like a Dragon Quest. It is not turn-based. It is very hack and slash action-based combat. And there's a bunch of them available. Like if you wanted to go get a feel for this series and you have PlayStation Plus, there's like 3 different remakes in an original game that are all
there's
available
so many
for
of
you
them
to play and stream. Yeah, it is a little bit convoluted, but I think I'll check it out, especially if it reviews well.
Yeah, I definitely plan on like checking it out. I don't know if I'll stick with it for the long run, but I'm interested in it.
Did you hear? Go ahead, continue.
I was gonna say it just gives me like the art style gives me a really big Tales of Arise like vibes.
Yeah.
Just the
Yeah,
shading
it's got
and stuff.
big Dragon Quest 11 energy as well, which is not far off from the Tales series either.
Gotcha.
I think there was a rumor floating around last week that's been debunked for better or worse. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but there was some information found in like some files on the Visions of Mana website or something that had the words Xbox Game Pass in there. And then it would make sense with the collaboration with Microsoft and Square Enix trying to foster that thing. But then they said there's misunderstanding. This is not coming to Game Pass. That's exactly what I would say if I was going to drop this thing on Game Pass in a few months. But what do I know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's out of my realm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Hellblade because that's way within your realm.
Oh, I can't wait.
Just take it away, man. I'm so sick of this fucking game.
I am not sick of this game. I can't wait to play it. This is going to be the best game Xbox releases in a long time. I don't know. I'm just talking out my butt. It could be horrible, but I mean,
it might be. I don't know.
I really enjoyed the first game. I thought it was really cool. It was probably like the most interesting and supposedly most accurate depiction of like schizophrenia. And I just love it. It's got like Nordic influences, but it's not supposed to be like a God of War. This is an artsy ass game. Like if you're not like into like weirdo artsy stuff, it's probably not for you. This isn't like think that's the best hack and slash,
Yeah, but that's kind of the problem with it is that I feel like the scope of this game might have changed at some point. If not, then the way that it was marketed changed at some point. Because
I think the marketing was horrible. I think they saw God of War and they said, all right, what's our God of War? And they tried to message this as their God of War, but it never was from the start.
And that might not be on them. That might be on Xbox when they were in that drought of like, we don't have shit to show.
Absolutely.
Show us your biggest action set piece that Hellblade 2 has so that we can have some actual gameplay here. Because I mean, at that point, we're now working on like 3.5 years since we saw that for the first time. The big giant fight on the beach, which was the most impressive the game ever looked. And since then, it hasn't looked as good. It's been much more of like a slow, much more reminiscent of the original Hellblade's gameplay and story and vibe in general.
The funny thing is,
it's interesting.
The original was a PS4 exclusive initially, and then Xbox bought Ninja Theory, and then it's here we are. But yeah, I can't wait. I think it's going to be great. I'm going to love it. I can't wait to play it.
And it's announced as well, confirmed. A shorter game, smaller price.
Yeah,
but still Game Pass day one.
Yeah, it's about the same length as the first one, they said, which I thought was fine. It was like 10 to 15 hours, I think. Which, honestly, I love that. I love games that are in that, like, 15, 20-hour range. Yeah. But
for sure.
Yeah, I can't wait for it.
The big news from the show as well, and it was the only one, I think, to get, like, an actual ironclad date for the entire show as well, was that this game is shipping on May 21st of this year. So nice that we can finally look at the end of the marketing cycle for Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. So overall, definitely not bad. I think a decent showing, but again, kind of overhearing about Hellblade, man.
I love it. This is
I know.
Yeah, I can't wait for this game.
I want to talk about Avowed next, and we'll leave Indiana Jones for last, obviously, because that was the most hype thing. But I'm excited to talk about these next two games with you quite a bit. Been looking forward to this for a while. Talk to me about your history with, you like Fallout New Vegas?
Yeah, Fallout New
Obsidian.
Vegas. Fallout New Vegas was the first Fallout game I ever played. Unfortunately, like I never beat Fallout New Vegas. I remember very clearly I had like a game-breaking bug where I was in a dead end of like a watchtower or something, and I had 1 HP, no healing items, and if I went through the only door to get out, I would instantly get hit by like a super mutant or something, and I was completely stuck.
You soft-locked yourself.
I soft-locked myself, so it wasn't even a bug. I can't even call it a bug. But I locked myself, and it screwed me, and I never finished it. But this was after I put like 40 hours into it.
Now you're a multiple save slot boy.
Absolutely, yeah. But I love Obsidian. I played. I have not played the Pillars of Eternity games. I did play Outer Worlds, and I loved it. I got the platinum on that game. And then I played Pentiment most recently, and I loved Pentiment. So.
And this game is also is part of the Pillars of Eternity universe, but they like to not say that anymore. Like they
Yeah.
said that the first time it was announced, and then since then they're like, by the way, Avowed, you don't need anything, just come on and play it.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like they're treating it as new IP, but I think that's reasonable. I think it's almost like the same way that like Cyberpunk is most people's introduction into that world. Cyberpunk 2077, despite it being in a universe that's existed for a very long time. I think that Avowed can serve its purpose, and you should be able to hop into it, no problem. But I'm looking forward to this. It looks like a bite-sized Elder Scrolls type vibe, and I think I'm ready for that, especially in a post-Starfield world, which for the most part underwhelmed a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think that this game's going to be a lot of fun, and it looks like it's going to make it for 2024, which is nice. It got a release window of this year, but I don't know anything more specific on that. Obviously that's Game Pass as well. Are you in on day one for Avowed?
Yeah, absolutely. Obsidian's wonderful. I love Obsidian. And this artwork, I just want to say this is some of the best like key art I've ever seen. It is amazing. I want this on my wall. I love it.
It is so nice. It's such a glow up too, because like we do a lot of like, we always call it like pulling assets behind the scenes of like, all right, we're gonna talk about Avowed, let's get our Avowed stuff. And the Avowed like key art for a long time has just been like this green text. It looks like the Avatar like papyrus font on just like a purple background, and it's been so plain and so stupid looking. But now that they have this absolutely stunning key art, it is a really good look for it.
Yes.
Some of the best art I've seen in a while. I think like unanimously anybody that talks about Avowed now is pretty hot on that.
Yep, absolutely.
Pace.
Absolutely.
You want to run into indie?
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna like do a segue of like talking about being hot on it. I don't know if I am hot on Indiana Jones. I think I'm excited for it, but I really want to see more about it because I love machine games and I loved the Wolfenstein games. They were so good.
The Wolfenstein games are so good, and you can see a lot of the DNA of those Wolfenstein games in here.
Absolutely. I don't know. There's something about it that has me curious, hesitant. I don't know what it is.
I mean, for me, I was really impressed with like, I think going into this, Machine Games obviously known for Wolfenstein, and the writing was on the wall if you look at what their strong suits are as far as this being like a first person game. But they did a great job of keeping this under wraps. I mean, we've known that Machine Games Bethesda is working on an Indiana Jones game for a very long time now. It's Indiana Jones in the Great Circle, as it was revealed to us at this Xbox Developer Direct. And now we kind of had our socks blown off here, because I think the world assumed third person Uncharted like, and instead we're kind of getting a first person Uncharted Tomb Raider like. Honestly, gameplay wise, outside of the view, it is doing a lot of what we expected it to do, but I think first person for Indiana Jones was very, very surprising. However, there is a lot of pretty cool and unique stuff going on in this game with like the third person perspective for some of like the more acrobatic things, like when you get on a ladder, the camera comes out and you actually have full on Harrison Ford likeness, and it looks pretty good, pretty impressive. But I think I challenge you to champion this game, and because the reason is because if you like Wolfenstein, I think you should have more faith in it, because those Wolfenstein games are crazy.
Yeah, I love
They're
Wolfenstein,
so good.
and I think I'm sitting here thinking it's not even that I don't have faith in it or anything. I think the problem is I just haven't seen the Indiana Jones movies in a while, and I'm just not in the Indiana Jones mood. Like if I watch those movies, I'll come back next month and be like, oh my god, I can't wait for this game.
The Indiana Jones IP is weak right now. This would be hard pressed not to be the best new piece of Indiana Jones content that we've had since the third movie.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I have not watched the new movie. I've been waiting because I've been wanting to rewatch the OGs and then watch the new one.
I like Crystal Skull. I know that's a bad movie, but it's fun to watch. That movie's so fucking stupid. Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I remember watching it growing up, and I was like, I love Shia LaBeouf. Absolutely, I like this movie. And they just kind of wrote him off for the new one, from what I heard. But
I haven't watched the new one either, but I've heard very, very mixed things. But yeah, I think especially in the last like moments of the actual gameplay trailer for the game, they do a wonderful job of showing off where like Machine Games' prowess comes from when they're running on like the airplane and having those set pieces where you're using like mounted turrets and stuff. It's so good. And I think back to, I don't know, I think of like the rogues gallery of like Indiana Jones villains, and something that the Wolfenstein game does well is their villains. Those sit down conversations.
Absolutely.
I think about. I think it's Wolfenstein 2 where you sit
On the train?
across from that girl on the train.
Yep.
She's talking about the fucking Ubermensch, and it's
Uh-huh.
just some of the best like character building stuff that's ever happened. And you're doing like the little quiz with her, and just looking at the announced villain with his broken ass nose that Indiana Jones caused, and he's mad about.
Yeah. Yep.
Is going to create some pretty memorable moments from like a storytelling perspective. The game just looks to me like it's something wholly unique that we haven't really seen since those Wolfenstein games. And then when you add in that puzzle solving element, it seems like this is the right team for the job. And I honestly, my big guess for this video game is that, so it got announced for 2024. They're saying if it does make it, it'll probably be October, November. It'll be a holiday season, big blockbuster game. I also think, I guess, two predictions. One is that I could see this game easily slipping to 2025, like second quarter of 2025, where it just seems like one of those games where like, yeah, it's 2024. So now when you look at the Xbox slate, it looks a little bit stronger. But as we get halfway through the year and they announce that this game is delayed, we've had so much time to kind of look at it and be like, oh yeah, Xbox's 2024 is looking good, and all of a sudden this slips and that slips, and all of a sudden it was like Hellblade and nothing else. But hopefully this is the last year of all that. My other prediction is that when this game does come out, if it's this year or next year, I think it's in the running for Game of the Year. I think it's on the tip of people's tongues, and it's really high up on some lists, and it's got a high Metacritic score.
I think that's
and it
fair.
will probably prove to be the most powerful Xbox exclusive that we've had in a really long time. I just think that the development time seems like it's been ample. The team behind it seems good. The IP, despite being in a bad place, is strong. And I think if they hit the nail on the head here, which they should be able to do no problem given what they've done in the past, I think we're looking at something pretty spectacular. So really excited for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Terrible name.
I think, the name's kind of mid, but I think part of me is just wishing that we had Wolfenstein 3 instead, because I loved that series so much. But also, like, you're a big hater of Troy Baker. How do you feel about him here?
I don't mind Troy Baker in in a voice acting role, to be honest. I don't like Troy Baker. I think he's a talented actor, right? He's good at doing that. I think he's he's a talented voice actor. I think he's a less talented actor, and I think he's a pretentious fucking douchebag. And then, that doesn't mean that he's not good at doing an Indiana Jones impression and being the voice of
but how did you think he
characters.
was? Did you peg it as
no,
Troy Baker before?
No.
I did. I knew I heard his voice. I could tell. But
it's weird that Troy Baker is the likeness of his character in Death Stranding 2, huh?
It is. Troy Baker
that character
is
looks
Troy
like
Baker.
Troy Baker.
Yeah. I kind of like it though. It's a nice change,
It does fit. It gives like a certain amount. I trust Kojima with it more than I trust David Ayer, but it gives off some big like OG Suicide Squad, Jared Leto fucking Joker vibes.
Yeah, but
there's a little element of that.
Kojima.
But
Kojima. We trust Kojima.
Yeah. For sure.
And then I guess the last little bit of Xbox news would be the fact that they absolutely gutted Activision Blizzard. Right?
Yeah, it stems from a cancellation of Blizzard's long-running development, almost 6 years running, of a survival game. There's only been one piece of key art on it for a very long time. Have you ever heard about this game?
Yes, I have heard about it.
Pretty big budget, big team. Back when they killed off like StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm, a lot of the team kind of split up and went to work on either Diablo 4 or the unnamed, still will never have a name, I'm assuming, survival game. So the survival game is done, and it was 1,900 jobs or something like that.
Yeah, it's just an insane amount
that they cut.
But
yeah, it's wild.
And it should be noted, they made these cuts days before their quarterly earnings call, and it bumped their earnings up like a ton. Like, it has their like growth rate is artificially elevated, extremely high, just because they cut all of these jobs. And it's just horrible. I mean, it's all the games industry's been struggling with this crap for a while. I think this year we're already over halfway to the amount of layoffs as last year. So it's a shame. It sucks. I hate it. it's greedy businessmen that want to make $12 million a year and beat off in their offices and do nothing. I hate them all.
Yeah,
so.
it's shitty. It's happening in a lot of industries, that we don't pay attention to. So
absolutely.
It's the
no
squeaky wheel gets the grease type of thing.
Anybody that's watching this or whatnot, no CEO is your friend. No corporate officer will ever be your friend. You are only a dollar sign to them, and they're going to use you as such. And people should just stop.
I mean,
I don't know. People expect too many good things, I guess. It just really pisses me off, all this stuff.
If you work in corporate for long enough, you'll realize that you're giving, you are not Jake Twitchin to this company. You are employee, whatever your employee number is. Like, there is a literal digit number that you use to sign into things, and that is your identity to them, unfortunately. But it's the world we're living in. I don't want to dwell on it too much and do all this fucking reporting every single time. I think the big news here is that Activision Blizzard survival game is canceled, because I had high hopes for that, and I think that that's the kind of thing that Blizzard needs right now. They need a big win. The only thing that gives me a little bit of solace is that, like, it seems like this was an educated decision, because my guess is that P3 and Sarah Bond and Matt Booty walked into Activision Blizzard and visited all these studios like they did a couple months ago, and then sat down and said, where are we doing? We're going to do some start, stop, continue shit. Either you guys are now working on something else, we're canceling your game, you can continue working on this game. And whatever they saw here at this development cycle for the survival game was deemed not good enough to continue working on. So sucks that we lost the jobs, but hopefully the people that did stay on from that project are working on something better, and that we're righting the ship over there at Blizzard from a workplace morale thing, which I can't believe, I'm sure isn't too high now that we're 1,900 more short, but
I also,
at the very least, can we get some StarCraft 3? Can we get some Heroes of the Storm 2? Can we get some Warcraft 4 going? It's time to get Blizzard back to doing what they're supposed to do.
I don't know if I told you this, but I can't remember. I had an interview the other day, and one of the people in the interview, we were talking about video games, like what I like to do in my free time. And they're like, "Oh, really? My brother works at Blizzard." And I was like, "What? Interesting." Unfortunately,
Does he have a history of sexual harassing
Unfortunately,
people?
I didn't have enough time to follow that up, because I had many questions.
Or maybe for the better.
Yeah, well, that's fair. I just want to talk to her brother. I want to be like, "Hey, you want to come on and chat?" Like,
talk for sure. Give us the exclusive scoop. I'm sure you would not do. Or maybe you got laid off.
It's possible,
depending on when that conversation was.
Well, no, it was a Friday conversation, so this was after
got
the
it.
layoffs. But do you like to play guitar?
Last piece of news.
You like to play guitar?
The last piece of news that I want to cover is just in general. I want to talk a little bit more about, like, the theory that I have going forward for the plastic instrument craze that I think is going to hit a fever pitch again for the first time in 10 plus years over the next couple months. So PDP, who used to be Mad Catz, who makes the Rock Band
they used to be Mad Catz?
Used to. Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, I had no idea. I got beef with them from being a kid and getting a Mad Catz PS2
you can't be buying third-party controllers, no third-party. But they made high-quality guitars for a while, but they announced the Riffmaster, which is a PlayStation and Xbox guitar that'll work out of the box with PC. It is currently being pitched as a Rock Band 4 guitar, but it's the first new plastic instruments we've got in a long time, and it's a very volatile market for plastic instruments. It is more akin to a Rock Band guitar than it is a Guitar Hero guitar, but the idea behind this is that it should be working for Fortnite Festival out of the box when they add controller support. Or not controller support, but instrument support, which should be coming pretty soon.
I'll be honest, I missed out on this whole like Guitar Hero Rock Band stuff when I was growing up.
Have you ever played?
I remember going to a friend's house one time and he had it, and we played for like 10 minutes. I was like, I suck. Okay,
wow,
I'm gonna leave.
That's so crazy. Would you try it if it became popular again? Like, would you get like a Rock Band 5, or would you buy like a Fortnite Festival guitar to play the rhythm game?
Yeah, probably. I would try it. I would try it out.
It's cool.
It's just it depends on how expensive the guitar is, I guess.
It'll probably be sub $100, but close to it. My guess would be like $70 to $90.
See, that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, somewhat. But what's nice is that now Fortnite Festival is a really nice platform for it, though, because it's $0 investment.
That's
you
true.
go into Fortnite Festival, you're able to play licensed music for zero. Zero money, yeah, which is pretty impressive. And I know that that's like a sore point, because if you do want to buy the music to keep and play it whenever you please in Fortnite Festival, that microtransaction is pretty pricey. It's $5 a song.
That's crazy.
But you are supporting those free uses of, like, you know,
Dude,
the other songs that are available to you.
Do you remember iTunes when it used to be like $1.29 a song? Or like
Do
a
I
weird
remember?
number?
Yeah, dude,
like
I
that?
owned a cassette player.
Yeah, bro. I miss those days. That was so fun to get like an iTunes card for Christmas or something. You're like,
buying CD singles.
I know which album I'm gonna buy this time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I've never been big on buying music. I'm a big music pirate, but in my reformed days, I think the emergence of like music streaming on Spotify and Apple Music has been a net positive for sure. I've paid for my music for years now, after not paying for it for a long time.
Yeah.
But let's get into the upcoming games.
Yeah.
We'll go top to bottom starting right now. We are recording. It's February 3rd, 4th. You know, we do this over a couple days when we're recording a longer thing. But there's a lot on its way. The first thing that's coming out on the 6th is Foam Stars. You know I'm hot on this. Kaulin's locked in. He says it looks good.
I will download it.
It's really interesting. Like, they announced that game is literally not for sale because it's a PlayStation exclusive, and it's on PlayStation Plus for all 3 tiers of PlayStation Plus. So if you pay for online, you get this game, and then once March rolls around, the game will become available on PlayStation for $29.99. It's just weird that like you literally can't buy it to own, yet you can claim it to own. But really hot on Foam Stars. You can look forward to me talking about that at length and streaming a lot of it. You guys know how hot I am on Foam Stars. Any foamers in chat? Sound off. Really hot on it. The only thing that sucks is that my Foam Stars big release day is going to be overshadowed a little bit by Final Fantasy. We have a Final Fantasy State of Play. It's happening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, 3:30 p.m. West Coast time, Pacific time.
Facts.
On February 6th as well. That's this coming Tuesday. The big rumor, of course, is that we should be seeing a demo for this game. Where are you at? You going to play the demo?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like you always forget how I'm into Final Fantasy 7. Like, I feel like every time we talk about it, you're like, "Do you like Final Fantasy 7?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like Final Fantasy."
I am kind of, yeah. I think it's because my passion probably overshadows your interest in it a little bit because it's just my favorite thing of all time. So I get a little one-track minded, but I'm amped that you're super in on it, and I'm excited to see how this all shakes out, but really hoping that it is a demo that's more akin to Final Fantasy 16 that lets you transfer your progress. It would be cool if this was like the opening couple hours and not just like a vertical slice.
Did you see where if you have a save file for Final Fantasy 7 Remake, you get the Leviathan summon in this game? So
yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
pretty fucking cool. Really looking forward to that. On the 8th is Helldivers 2. You're in, yeah?
Oh, easily. Absolutely. I can't wait for this game.
I'm glad you're gonna play Helldivers, because I'm not, but I could be convinced. So if it ends up being an absolute blast, you have to tell me.
Yeah.
But it's cool that I'll be hot and heavy on Foam Stars. You'll be in on Helldivers. We'll have a lot to talk about for our February or our March episode with what we've been playing in February, it seems.
Yeah. They said that they're going to do like lots of free updates for this game as well. So I think it's going to be really good time. I think it's going to be really good.
And I think it's going to be, what's nice is that game comes out on the 8th. It's first party PlayStation published, second party developed, and it's dropping on PC day and date with full crossplay. So I think that gives it a really good shot at life, you know. It'll be interesting to stack up Foam Stars versus Helldivers. They are in some ways quite similar video games with very different release plans, whereas like it's almost backwards. Like, you would expect the first party Sony PlayStation developed and published game to come out for PlayStation Plus and have that big console push and not be available elsewhere, when in fact it's available on PC as well with crossplay. Whereas the Square Enix game is PlayStation only and available on PlayStation Plus and not on any other console or PC. But I don't know. We'll get there. Big first half of the month for you, because you roll right into the 13th into Banishers Ghosts of New Eden.
Banishers.
I'll be mean if I talk about this. You tell me.
Banishers. Listen, man. Banishers is like, it's going to be the next Plague Tale, okay? It's going to be really good.
Yeah. All right, you know what? I'm in.
It's made by Don't Not. Listen, I know you hate it, but whatever. The combat looks honestly kind of reminiscent of God of War. I think this game is going to surprise people, okay? It is my AA excited game of the year, I'll say. But like it's a don't nod game, which I guess would we say don't nod's AA, maybe AAA. I don't know. It kind of depends.
They're definitely not AAA. They're either AA or single A.
Okay, well then I'm good with that. But I don't know. Something about this game, it's weird, and I like weird games, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I think something stinks on this thing. I think it's gonna be a mess. I don't know what that delay was for at the end, but my guess was because it wasn't up to snuff in some way that maybe was more than just polishing. There wasn't many details on what was going on there. And I think that this is like my early pick for like a heavy stinker. Like I think that this game could very well, I'm stuck in between. Like there is a world where it comes out and it's one of Don't Nod's better games and it scores like 8s and a half. I don't think it's going to ever hit 9.
I think it will.
And then there's also a world that I could see Banishers coming out and it being like absolutely made a mockery of and getting like 3s and 4s and everyone laughing at Banishers a lot. Like you see the potential there, right? Like it could miss really hard.
It's not going to get 3s and 4s. Absolutely not.
I think it could get. What if its Metacritic is?
This game will get a higher Metacritic than Foam Stars. I can guarantee it. I'd be willing to put money on that.
Ooh, I almost want to make a bet. Like we're not good at sticking to our wagers around here, mostly me.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, what do you mean we're not good at sticking to our wagers?
I would say like if this thing gets like a Metacritic score of lower than a 60, I'll play it or something like that. Then I'm gonna be really interested in it.
Yeah, it won't get lower than a 60.
I think it might.
I'm gonna say the Metacritic score for this is gonna be a 77.
I mean, you're probably right, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be like a 60. I think it's gonna be like a 66.
66. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah, but also I hope it's gonna be like a 50. That would be so funny to me.
Why do you want all my games to be bad?
Your games
you
want
all my games to be bad.
Fast backtrack 35 minutes to the Lake gameplay.
listen, Lake. You would like Lake. I think you would actually.
Scars above and Lake, bro.
They were good games.
You're the Jake Twitchin of 2024. I just need you to lean into it.
Tomb Raider. Are you playing Tomb Raider?
I'm skipping it. Are you?
Really? You're skipping?
You don't care.
It.
You have no nostalgia for those games. I think it depends. If they say that like the controls really are fixed up, like those games really don't translate very well to modern like standards. I think that you really need to work on the controls to make them even tolerable to play. And I just don't think that they are going to hold up all that well. I think it's nice that we're going to have a nice modern way to play them, but for the most part, I'm out on Tomb Raider. They have to come out and review very highly and say finally it's the definitive way to play Tomb Raider.
I thought for sure you'd want to play them, but yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I've only ever played. I played like 2013 Tomb Raider, and I thought it was great. And then
reboot?
Yeah, and then I played Shadow of the Tomb Raider, or no, Rise of the Tomb Raider. I don't even know what it's called. The second one.
Rise is snow. Shadow is dark.
I played the second one for like 3 hours, and then I just never got back to it for some reason.
Yeah, it's got a strong opening. I like those games. They're Uncharted light, maybe a little bit more vast of an area for them in some of them, but they're okay. I prefer like my favorite Tomb Raider era is like the ones that nobody likes, like Angel of Darkness for PS2, and then like Tomb Raider Legend and Tomb Raider Anniversary were like the heyday on like the 360 PS3 era. I think there's some really good stuff there. I played Tomb Raider Anniversary, which is a remake of the first one recently. Held up pretty well. I really enjoyed streaming that game.
What day is this coming out?
This is coming out on the 14th. It's on Valentine's Day.
I might check it out if I can get a physical of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
On the 16th, well, technically the 13th as well. So let's go over like the release calendar for Skull and Bones. Skull and Bones on the 8th has a open beta. The open beta is unlimited time to play for a small window of time, just one last stress test on the servers, and during that time you can make a save and carry that over to the full version of the game. The full version of the game comes out on the 16th for the regular edition. However, if you have the deluxe edition comes out on the 13th. Sorry, man. I don't know what's wrong with me. That's such improper etiquette for a podcast. That one, can you bleep, bro?
Yes, that burp is bleeped. That's what that was. If you hear the bleep, it was just a massive burp. I'm leaving this part in. I'm just gonna add the bleep so they know.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't know what's gotten into me. Also, a perfect segue. I'm sponsored by Ubisoft for Skull and Bones. I'm giving away a free PS5 copy, 2 free PS5 copies between now and the 16th when the game comes out. Come see me on Twitch or when I'm live to get some more details. But of course, I gotta disclose that because I'm getting some beta access as well as the game given to me. But I'm looking forward to it, and I think Skull and Bones is going to be a little bit better than expected. However, not like Game of the Year material or anything like that. On the 16th, we also get Mario versus Donkey Kong. You're so out on this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
I didn't put this on the games played section, but they put out a demo for this, and I did play through the demo. The demo takes about 14 minutes to complete, 22 minutes to 100% if you so desire. It's a very bad demo, a very bad indicator of what the game is like. The problem with Mario vs. Donkey Kong is still the same problem that I've had with Mario vs. Donkey Kong from the beginning. It's a puzzle game that unfortunately uses Mario in a 2D landscape, and the controls are so shitty and so obtuse and not tight. It just feels intrinsically wrong to control a Mario that doesn't feel tight to control, and it's just not what I'm looking for. But you already know, if you're a Mario vs. Donkey Kong fan, it's going to be a great way to play the original Mario vs. Donkey Kong. If you're not and you love puzzle games, maybe this is something for you. Go check out the demo. For me, this is an easy skip, especially for $50. If they would have remade this game for $20 or $30, I would think about it. But all in all, not a great showing. That's coming out February 16th as well. On the 22nd, we get Pacific Drive. Now, this one's really interesting.
Yeah.
Describe Pacific Drive in like 2 sentences.
Pacific Coast driving survival game.
Yeah.
That
it's crazy. It's super unique. Yeah, no,
that
I
wasn't
think
even
it's just
2
like
sentences. I did it in like 4 words.
No. Yeah, you did great. But this game is really unique. Are you gonna play this day one? Is this a purchase for you?
Yeah, purchase. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna wait. I think I'm probably in. I'm cautious just because of like scary games. How scary is it? What does it look like? It looks like there's probably some roguelike elements into this as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how much is procedurally generated, but this game, if you're looking for, you know me, what do I always say? I'm looking for a game that shows me something I've never seen before, and this game is doing that in spades. So that being the case, I do want to give it the benefit of the doubt and check this thing.
You said, what do I always say? I don't know if I've ever heard you say that before.
No way. I say that all the time, even on this show and definitely on stream. Absolutely. It's the reason I like Before Your Eyes. It's the reason I like Outer Wilds. That's the reason I like
I'm looking for a game
Sayonara Wild Hearts.
To I don't know. I got nothing. This game looks really good. It's they did some previews of it. Skill Up had some content on it, or some coverage on it. He said it has really obtuse controls, but it kind of works well for the story, I guess. So there's like definitely some like obtuse things to this game, but I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be very unique and very interesting.
Yeah. Do you know the price on this game?
I think it's like $40. I don't think it's full price.
All right, you look up the price and then tee me up for Brothers. I'll talk about that.
Yeah, we got
Brothers Tale of Two Sons comes out on the 28th. It's a remake of the original. It's Joseph Ferris's first work. Obviously, he did Brothers, then A Way Out, and then Game of the Year 2020 or 2021. 2020.
Pacific. It's 2021 because I was there for it. Pacific Drive is $29.99 or $26.99 if you pre-order with PS Plus.
Oh yeah, reasonable price.
Yeah,
reasonable price, and multi-platform and everything, pretty cool. But Brothers Tale of Two Sons remake is, I think, a cool little thing to come out. Do you want to look up the price for that too?
Yeah, I can.
Because that game is definitely old and showing its age, but it's getting a nice coat of paint on it, and it seems like it'll be the definitive way to play it. And I thought this game was co-op, but it's apparently not. I might get into this. Are you going to check this out? You didn't play the original, did you?
I have not played the original. I would like to check this out. But the original game is currently like included on PlayStation Plus, so I don't even know if I would like. I'd probably just play.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. It's like the original doesn't look bad. It's got an art style that lived up pretty well. I think this will age worse than the original, probably.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah, but I'm curious about it. The little blonde-haired kid's eyes are kind of freaking me out. Something looks wrong.
Do you hate me?
That wasn't even the right name.
Amicia, yeah, it is.
Oh, I thought you said Amelia.
No, okay. Amicia. I know this annoying shit.
Yeah, Hugo.
All right, February 29th It's motherfucking Leap Day. Don't forget.
I can't find a price. I can't find a price for it. Sorry.
It might not have one. I haven't seen it on digital storefronts either.
Yeah.
Maybe this game gets pushed.
It could.
You can tell. Let's talk about Leap Day, man.
Yeah, it's a cool day. I had a friend that growing up that was born on Leap Day. So how old is he?
Is he always like, technically, I'm only 4 years old.
Technically, I'm still a minor.
What a funny thing. Oh, you? All right. Anyway, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes out. Our game of the year 2024 comes out.
Your game of the year
February 29th. Probably yours too, is my guess. I think this game is going to be fucking legendary. I don't know,
man.
I
Dragon's Dogma is coming out.
True. I just love living in a world where like I can't even make guarantees on like the next time we record a game list right now. Like we're recording this in early February, but if I tried to record on March 4th and I wasn't done Final Fantasy, I would probably tell you to get fucked. So we might be looking at more of like a mid-March for our March episode.
See, I feel like we're probably gonna have to do an early March, like very similar to this, and just be part of the way done with it. Because like, there's no way. Like, if we wait till mid-March, I'm still not gonna be done with it because it's gonna take me a while. So I feel like we should just.
Well, the problem is that I am not willing to tear myself away from this video game for hours to record.
See, I feel like
I'm gonna get it done quick.
I'll
tell you that.
Okay. I still think you should pull yourself away. I don't think you'll get it done as quick as you think you will. This one's supposed to be big.
Yeah.
It's got like 100 hours of content.
Yeah, it looks massive. So, and streaming the entire thing, like I will be very live at midnight on the 28th, rolling into the 29th, play for a couple hours. I'm going to be doing what I did for like Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, where I am basically sleeping and eating and streaming, and that's pretty much it. Really, really excited for this, as everybody that has ever interacted with me knows. This shit is very important to me, and I've got very high hopes. I'm looking forward to the PlayStation State of Play, and depending on how everything goes with that, maybe we can do some extra coverage or something along those lines over the next couple of weeks or months leading up to this, or after we've played it. Who knows? If you end up putting in a lot of time and we're really like dying to talk about it, maybe we do a little special game list episode. You never know what we might throw at you. But Rebirth, man. My most anticipated game. It's either this or Kingdom Hearts 4, and this one is tangible. It's within reach. It's less than a month away. We are living in the month that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth comes to us, and I couldn't be more excited.
What if it's
delayed? You know what else I couldn't be more excited for? Don't say that, man. About this time frame, there was one last delay on Final Fantasy VII Remake back in 2020, where like that game was supposed to come out in March, and they pushed it to April because the whole world went into lockdown. That was crazy time when that game came out.
That was crazy.
Wild.
I can't believe
it was like a
4
lifetime
years ago. Yeah, exactly. What are you excited for?
I'm excited to be recording the podcast in 2024, baby. Season 3 GameList show. We're making it happen. It's good to be back, man. You did a good job with the slides and stuff for your first effort. I'm sure the YouTube VOD watchers will appreciate it, and the listeners will love that we still cater to them and talk about what we're talking about, even though they don't have the visual aid. Wouldn't you agree?
You think it's possible to like? No. Maybe one day Spotify will have like video. You think? Oh, you know what I want? I mean, you know how they have option on like Spotify where there's like the album art that like rotates or whatever. You know?
I don't have Spotify, but yeah, I see it on Apple Music sometimes. Tough. Like the pregnant girls on the Drake album all like hold their belly. Oh, is this not a relatable thing?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a wrap. It's a first real episode of the year. Lots of good things to talk about. It's going to be an interesting year coming off of 2023, but it's still going to be a great year for games.
Yeah, for sure. Tell the people where they can find you, man.
You can find me at Kaulin _ on Twitter or YouTube or anything else, and they just kind of
spell it for
together.
The people.
KAULINE_.
Hell yeah. You can find me at Jake Twitchin on all platforms. If you want to get there even easier, just go to amazingstreamer.com. It'll get you to all my socials. It'll get you to the GameList socials, which will eventually get you to Kaulin's socials. Easy to find us somewhere else, and helps us out a ton if you leave a rating or a comment or a like or an upvote, or find us when we're streaming live. He's on YouTube a lot. I'm on Twitch a lot. We're doing a bunch of things just for you. Again, interesting first episode of the show. A lot to talk about at the beginning as far as housekeeping goes. A little light for games that we're playing, some weird picks, but as we get back into the groove of things, those February, the March through like September, October episodes are the bread and butter. So look forward to some new guests, some returning guests, and all sorts of fun coming up. What am I forgetting, Colin?
I can't think of anything. I think we're good.
I think so. Thanks for listening, right? You know what I'm saying?